Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
I hear pod people.
Oh, God, this is so bad.
But I had to do that.
Yeah,
I know.
I
I'm not proud of it, but there was the gimme. We had to do it.
The whole time I was watching the movie, I was like, "What is he's gonna do? Like an icy?"
I don't know, because it'd be a bummer if I didn't. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a bummer if I do, bummer if I don't.
Everyone would
Let's
just
get
be
it
waiting
over
for it if you had.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Let's peel
I
it
mean-
off, and they'll be like, "Did he not think of that? Is he that stupid, or does he think he's classier than that? Because now's a weird time to start being classy."
We should it should be. I wish we had a video podcast where we could shove the podcast out from under a bed. That would be good.
Right, that would have been good. If this could be visual,
Yeah.
I'd just stick my arms out, and that would be
Yes.
the opening, and then I'd vomit on top of you. Hi, everybody. My name is Griffin Newman.
Just vomits on her shirt.
My name is Griffin.
I'm David Sims.
Newman, David Sims. This is Blank Check with Griffin and David, and this is our new investigative miniseries,
Pod Night Shyamacast.
Pod Night Shyamacast.
Woo! So, Katie, there was a face-off between me and Griffin's chosen titles,
Yeah.
and my title won.
Twitter vote.
What was the other option?
The other option was PCAST Shyamalan. I want to point out that I just put a vote out there. I didn't make it clear which one was my choice. I said, hey, we're going to start recording today. We're asking the people of Twitter, the good people of Twitter, to let us know which we should call our miniseries. And David quoted my tweet and said, if you don't vote for Pod Night Shyamacast, you're not my friend.
I did.
So
say that.
David won, but
I
did...
think it was also
That
just
sounds
a
like
better
a real
title.
Sounds like a real threat. I mean, I would be worried.
won the battle, lost the war. You know what I'm saying? He has to go to sleep with himself at night knowing that he strong-armed
Sleep fine.
the Twitterati. Our very special guest today is Katey Rich.
Katie Rich.
Hello.
Oh,
Of
podcast
Vanity
luminary
Fair.
of VanityFair.com.
Fair.
Bring in the class.
Hollywood elite.
Host of Fighting in the War Room, which I've been listening to for God knows how many years now. How long has that been
Oh
going
my God,
for now?
5 years? Like we had our
boy.
5-year anniversary. It's terrifying.
The best film podcast, in my opinion, is Fighting in the War Room.
I mean, this
And then the second best is this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the
And
Little
also,
Gold Men.
also the host of Little Gold Men on the
She's got
Panoply
two.
Network.
She's got two.
I got too many podcasts.
And she's
and-
now an official host of this podcast. She's never leaving.
That's
No.
true.
So now she has 3
Locked in this
podcasts.
She's here for good.
Yeah, and I feel like I should say I'm here because I started listening to this over Thanksgiving and couldn't stop and wouldn't stop tweeting at you about it. So thank you for letting me like step into the screen.
What turned you on to us? What was the breakthrough moment?
I was assigned to watch the prequels because of Fighting in the War Room. We were doing like a Star Wars.
Your
series.
Star Wars
So I was like, okay,
podcast,
I gotta
right.
watch the prequels, and then I knew you guys were doing these, and I hadn't seen the prequels in years. So I was like, okay, now that I've seen the movies, I'll listen to the podcast. And we had like these pop quizzes where we were all, is like pick which one you want to answer pop quiz questions about, and I only nailed it.
Yeah,
because
she
of the
shouted
podcast.
us out.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you listened to 10 episodes about one movie. You're
Right.
gonna remember
Yeah, yeah.
a lot
So
of
what
plot
was like the
details.
toughest question you got right?
Oh God, I think it was naming the planet where Obi-Wan goes, the Rain Planet.
Planet.
See, now I can't remember the name.
Kamino.
Yeah, see?
Hot
Hey, thanks,
planet.
guys.
Rain Planet. Ben's favorite.
You didn't think you were ever going to talk
Love a
about
good
Star
wet
Wars in this
planet.
room again, did you?
We're never going to stop talking about Star
We're
Wars.
gonna always talk
They
about
pushed
Star Wars.
episode 8 back to December.
I know.
I'm so pissed off about that.
Yeah, but Rogue One, it's like right,
No,
it's like
I
right around
know.
the corner.
I
Also,
know.
I like it being a Christmas treat every year. I
No,
like
I
having a
don't-
little Star Wars
I
under
don't
the
like
tree.
the idea. They should, it's that thing like where Harry Potter would occasionally have one come out in the summer,
Yeah.
and it would do like way worse.
Yeah.
And then eventually they were like, okay, we're just not going to do that anymore.
Yeah, well, because if you can be the Christmas movie,
know.
that corridor is like every single day for 10 days between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
Or between whatever it is, the 23rd
No, of course.
and the 3rd.
I mean, and you just,
Every day you make $50 million.
It's
Because
crazy.
no one has anywhere
Don't
to
you
go.
all remember seeing Titanic repeatedly over your Christmas breaks in 1997?
Yep.
I do.
Yep.
I didn't see
Yep.
Titanic until 2005 on a VHS.
That is a shame.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, you want to hear the real like?
You
thing?
were pretty little for Titanic, I would assume. You were like
I was
8, 7, or
weird
8.
with movies when I was a kid. Like I
Okay.
saw a lot, but I would be sort of contrarian and not want to see the things that everyone else was seeing.
Mhm.
I just didn't see The Lion King until later. I don't know.
Wow.
But I saw it like 2005. You know what? No, I saw it full screen on like Cinemax and was like, this movie sucks. I don't know what you guys are talking about. The end shit's good. And then I saw it like when they re-released it in 3D, and I was like, oh no, this is the best movie of all time.
Yeah.
You
Me
have
and
to
Katie
see
were
it.
just
Oh, yeah.
tweeting at each
You have to
other
see it
about
in movie format.
No,
You
you
can't
can't
watch
see
it.
it.
No, come on.
Yeah.
When we were in videology before trivia, and then we'll start on the. I promise,
Yeah.
Ben. when we were at Videology and my girlfriend was with us, it was before trivia, and Titanic was playing. My girlfriend's like a complete she's never seen any movie. It's completely insane. And I was like, "You've never seen Titanic?" And she's like, "Nah." And I was saying like, one thing I think is really good about Titanic is that it has a happy ending, even though it's about the Titanic sinking. But it has this like fantasy sequence where at the end where she's sort of marrying Leo, and it's like her dying, and it's heavenly, and everyone's there. And then so we were watching, because we were watching the last half hour of the movie, and then that scene came on, and Videology was loaded with people, and they all started screaming. You remember that? It was because it's so good.
They're cheering, like they were happy,
cheering and yelling and clapping because it's so good. And I was like, that's why people kept seeing the movie, because the ending just leaves you on this crazy sort of euphoric note.
I don't want to give credit.
Titanic is so good.
I don't want to give credit to the Lord Voldemort of the movie blogger sphere. But Jeffrey Wells has often said that that's the only reason that film won Best Picture. And not as like a backhanded compliment against the film, but he was like, that put it so over the edge where you like wanted to live in that movie in that moment forever because you know, it's such a transcendent.
It is not the best movie of 1997, as much as I love it.
But it's maybe the best movie of all time.
No, exactly.
If that makes sense. Like, it's not the best movie that year, but it's maybe the best movie ever made.
The craziest thing is I love Titanic so much, but I still would have given L.A. Confidential Best Picture, which I think is the greatest movie.
You got to go with the zeitgeist when you get the opportunity
of course,
to reward the zeitgeist.
In terms of Oscars, I agree.
No,
but in terms of
Life should have won Best
like
Picture.
a personal favorite. Yeah, sure. You could make your own personal favorite.
A Bug's Life. A Bug's Life should have won.
I'm going to start my own rival 10-part series about Titanic. I hope that you guys
I would
will
love to be on that.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yes, please.
Excellent.
Oh, dude, let's just do Titanic like minute by minute. That's what we should do.
Yeah, that is literally,
God.
I could like recite it by memory.
Oh, yeah, we should do a live show where we just do Titanic. It's like the improvised Shakespeare company or whatever. We just play all the parts.
James Cameron would be a fascinating blank check subject.
Oh, we're gonna do him
because
he
got a blank check and then only went up and up and up. He's the one.
That's true. They just kept giving him bigger blank checks. They gave him like Ed McMahon ones.
He keeps making more money. He's the reason that everyone else gets blank checks.
It's
They're like,
true.
well, James Cameron did it and it worked, so okay, we'll give you a ton of
That
money.
is
It
a
never
good call.
works.
That he is like the mogul of the blank check.
It's also the opposite of how it usually works, which is everyone like they give them the blank check and they're like, this is going to be huge, and then it disappoints. And James Cameron, every time 6 months before the movie comes out, they're like, this is the one that flops.
Yeah, right.
They always think it's going to be a disaster.
Happened.
That's why I'm so in on the Avatar sequels, because everyone is so ready to hate on them, and I'm like, let's do it.
I don't even want them, and yet I will love them because I love everything James Cameron's ever
because
made.
they're James Cameron movies. They're going to be the best.
Oh, man, this could bite us in the ass.
Yeah, okay, I have a big twist.
Whoa!
A big twist.
Whoa!
You guys know it, but I want to reveal it to the audience.
Okay.
We have sitting with us at the table.
Oh, shit.
Producer Ben Hosley, a.k.a. Producer Ben, a.k.a. Purduer Ben, a.k.a. the Ben Deucer, a.k.a. the Poet Laureate, a.k.a. Hello Fennel, a.k.a. the Peeper, a.k.a. the Tiebreaker, a.k.a. Birthday Benny, a.k.a. Mr. Positive, a.k.a. the Haas, a.k.a. Producer Ben Kenobi,
Producer Ben Kenobi,
a.k.a. Kylo Ben.
Kylo Ben, right.
I can't believe you're doing that from memory.
Yeah, we should write those down. We always miss one. Katie is like taking a drink of water as you do that.
Yeah, she's exhausted in that speech.
Yeah.
But, okay, so
we're here. This is episode 2 of Pod Night Shyamalan.
The studio has been restructured. I know this is the plot thread that our listeners are really hanging on to, right?
Oh, yeah. They love to hear that.
But our studio's been restructured. The room next to it is now where the ones and zeros are.
Yeah.
And then this is now a more spacious little closet for us to record in. 2 weeks ago, you set the levels. You sat down at the table with us here for the podcast Reawakens.
Right.
Yeah.
Last week, you were in the other room where we couldn't see you.
The voice
you
of
couldn't see us.
God.
The voice of God. It freaked me out. I referenced it way too much because I couldn't get over it.
Yeah, you talked about it a lot.
This week, you have
an intern.
Yes, we have Brian joining us as a work study here with the podcast with UCB.
Is he getting
Brian.
credit? Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. I'm going to cut this out.
Is he getting like school credit for this?
He is.
He is. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also getting a credit from us, the podcast.
It's called improv.
I always think of
Much credit to Brian.
the topless girl in The Life Aquatic. That's what I always think of now when it's like the intern.
Brian is shirtless. We should mention that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That audio
That's a
engineering,
requirement.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
that's
a requirement.
just
Yeah.
That's more practical than anything I did at an internship or got school credit for. Like
100%.
that's a skill. Podcast of the future.
Yeah.
Let's do
Absolutely.
it.
And
you
you're,
get a nice
you're
even
working
tan.
under this guy.
Yeah.
That's where
This
the
guy.
money's going.
Learn
guys.
everything you need to know.
You're going to learn a lot of stuff.
For the listener at home, when Ben says this guy, he's pointing a thumb at his chest.
So, guys, we're here to discuss a film by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes.
Oh, and I got gripes, guys. I just want to tell you right
wow.
now.
Whoa.
I got some gripes.
No, some
Wrote
would
it
argue.
down.
You're starting kind of early. You know, there's many worse movies to come.
Yeah, this is not the movie to have gripes about.
Gripes.
For better or worse, this is the M. Night Shyamalan film. This is the film that will define his career for the rest of time.
Yeah.
You know, he can make 80 more movies. This will be the film. And just to recontextualize a little bit, so last week was a weird episode because we talked about these two movies that most people don't even know
and
exist.
will never see.
Right, we'll never see.
Even though we made a podcast about it, no one's going to watch it.
And one of them is on YouTube, apparently.
One of them is on YouTube.
Do not need to watch them.
Okay.
Okay.
I wasn't tempted.
Yeah.
I just want to let everyone know it's okay.
But they're two films that have some similarities, a lot of differences, and are a guy who just has a technical craft,
Yeah.
and a sort of mathematical assessment of how to get emotions out of the
set
audience.
up a shot.
Right. But those two films are very emotionally manipulative in a way that feels a little too overt and forceful.
Yep.
Even if it works, you're like, I see what you're doing there. Stop,
Spielberg
get your
poops.
hands off.
They're crappy Spielberg poops.
Right. And now he takes this shift into the thriller. And we said last week he, was unhappy with how Wide Awake was handled by Weinstein, both on set, in the editing room, and in its release. I said both, but it was three things. So then he called his shot, Babe Ruth style. You like that sports reference?
A great
sports ball reference.
Yep.
He was like, I'm going to write a screenplay that's so good that I'll be able to sell it for over $1 million and have final cut.
He sold it for $3 million.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
God, the 90s were crazy.
With the stipulation that he had to direct it.
That's insane.
And then he had control. He was like, I'm calling my shot. I'm going to write a spec script that's so undeniably great. They'll give me $3 million and they'll let me make it the way I want.
He ships this around town, brings the spec to Disney and Fox and wherever.
And I think people go ballistic immediately.
Wow.
Oh, and the guy who bought that script got fired, by Disney.
Crazy.
Right away.
For paying $3 million for a spec script.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, I think this was not released, but the shingle it fell under was Spyglass Pictures, which this was one of the last things that Spyglass Pictures made.
Well, because Disney, you may have this on your printout.
Disney had four.
Disney released the rights to this picture to Spyglass because they were so uninterested in it.
Really?
Yeah.
After they had made it? Or
After they made it. They
Wow.
retained distribution rights, 12.5% of the box office, but most of it went to Spyglass.
And 12.5% of the box office, just to be clear, domestically this film made, I believe, $300 million.
It made, and it made about $700 million worldwide.
That's madness.
I know.
And this is 1999.
And it opened to about $25 million, and then it just made 20 for week after week after week.
And opened in early August, right?
Yes.
That sounds
and I remember very distinctly.
August 6th.
This was when August was very much a no man's
1999.
Yeah.
You didn't release movies in August. If it was August, it was a dump. And the one weekend you could get through.
But it's still kind of true.
But
but
less
August
so
6th,
now.
that first weekend, that's the Guardians of the Galaxy slot.
Right.
That's the Help
Right.
slot.
Right. It's
So
it's encroaching now, right?
And that's the thing. If you can get something good August 6th, you maybe play for the rest of the month. You get 4 weeks of number one, and you get sleeper
Yeah, the
sets.
Tropic Thunder kind of.
Yeah.
Right. But you have to be good. You have to be the first week of August, and then you get the doldrums, maybe even through to September. You're owning that,
through Labor
that
Day
slot.
for sure.
Now, I remember, I might be off on one of these, but I know at least two of these three I'm certain about. This was the weekend where 4 movies were trying to be the breakout August film.
You want to see the first week of?
Yes.
Yeah. You want to hear about the first week?
I believe the 4 major studio releases of that film, films of that weekend were The Sixth Sense.
Yep.
Mystery Men.
Mystery Men had come out last week, the previous week.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. The Iron Giant came out that weekend, correct?
The Iron Giant had also come out a week before.
Are you sure you're on the first weekend of Sixth
Yep.
Sense? Sometimes Box Office Mojo, if you click on the first weekend.
Holy shit.
Yep.
Sorry. Go ahead. You're right.
Mystery Men, Iron Giant, Sixth Sense, and Dick.
You're missing one. A film that I watched on Stars the other day and holds up, The Thomas Crown Affair.
Oh, shit. So that's 5 big movies that we're all hoping they could be the breakout August film.
Wait, so where does the Blair Witch Project fit
The Blair
into
Witch
this?
Project has already been out for 4 weeks and has already made $80 million.
Okay.
And it's really funny because the budget, Box Office Mojo always has the budget as a 40, 60.
Yeah.
And the Blair Witch Project is 0.06. But anyway, So, Blair Witch is the summer, talk of the summer. That's the crazy thing. The 2 most definitive horror movies of Hollywood's last 20 years came out in the same month, basically.
And couldn't be more sort of diametrically opposed.
Absolutely,
And one
right.
represents the last horror film of its kind made by Hollywood studio in a way, and the other one becomes the future.
Right.
Slowly but surely becomes everything.
No, but the movies, there's Runaway Bride is hanging around. You've got Deep Blue Sea is hanging around.
Phantom Menace still in the top 10?
Phantom Menace just fell out of the top 10. It's number 11.
Wow.
You've got American Pie. You've got The Haunting. Remember with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Liam Neeson. And,
What's Inspector Gadget up to at this point? 97.
Inspector Gadget's is in its third week, and it's made $64 million.
Okay.
I saw that movie in theater.
Yeah,
The Matrix is done by then.
The Matrix is way down. Yep,
because that was in April.
It's been out for
that was
20
the spring
weeks
movie.
and has made
I saw
$170 million.
all of these in theaters.
Are you kidding me?
I didn't see The Sixth Sense though. I don't know why.
Really?
I saw it much later.
Were you, just uneven on horror movies, or did
I was
you
uneven
see
on
Blair
horror.
Witch?
I saw Blair Witch.
Yep.
I don't know. I was seeing a bunch of stuff. I don't know why. I was in my big Entertainment Weekly reading phase, but I think I got spoiled on the twist early, which we'll talk about.
Sure, that's important. To talk
I
about.
didn't see Sixth Sense in theaters, but I saw Runaway Bride in theaters for sure. So.
Oh, me too.
Oh, what about Notting Hill? Where's that?
Good
That was
That
earlier
was
in
a
the summer.
huge
too.
Notting Hill
Julia
has been out
summer.
for
Yeah,
12
huge,
weeks. Yeah,
huge
so.
Julia Summer.
Yeah, Notting
Huge
Hill was a
Julia
May,
Summer.
right? I
Yeah.
feel like Notting Hill came out against
Yeah.
like weekend 2 of Phantom Menace.
We
maybe?
should talk. 1999 is like, I think now officially considered like the best year Hollywood has had, and has
For
not,
like
like
studio
eclipsed
product,
since.
yeah.
Well, what's crazy is it's both considered like a banner year for like legitimate film and a banner year for like
big
blockbusters.
movies,
yeah.
Like it was like both. It was everything in
So,
one year.
Here are some other movies that are just sort of down on the list. Just so, Eyes Wide Shut,
Right.
which is the best movie of 1999. Sorry, guys.
Toy Story 2.
No. Austin Powers 2, Wild Wild West. Obviously terrible. I'm just sort of telling you.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
The
It's a
Mummy.
huge movie.
The
Setting the-
Mummy, which is
setting-
so much fun.
Yeah.
Thrills and
that
chills.
also-
Run Lola Run. The Red Violin. Now I'm just
Red Violin.
Tea with Mussolini.
Tea with Mussolini. Charles Dance directed.
Life, that movie with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence
that
about
movie's a
prison.
bummer. That's
That
a
movie's a
bummer.
huge bummer.
Yeah.
Wait, is Bowfinger that summer?
Bowfinger.
Yeah.
Bowfinger comes out the second week of The Sixth Sense. It comes out next week. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the thing. The next weekend has Bowfinger. It has Detroit Rock City.
Sure.
So The Sixth Sense is number 1 for 5 weeks in a row.
Well, I just remember that opening weekend, everyone was like, oh man, it could be any one of these 5 films. But like Sixth Sense was maybe on the lower end of
It
expectations.
opened to 26 million. Like, very nice opening for 1999.
But I remember
nothing
that being
crazy.
a surprise.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like Bruce Willis was coming out of a fallow period, right?
Serious fallow period.
So he had like he got a bump up a couple years earlier from Pulp Fiction, but the
That's 5 years earlier.
the films he made in between weren't that big, and it was a lot of stuff.
Well,
where
he
it's
had
like,
Die Hard with a Vengeance.
And Armageddon was the summer before.
That's right.
Oh,
so
that's
Armageddon
true.
had
Yeah.
already rebooted him. That's fair.
Okay. So Armageddon.
I mean,
when they
he also
shot
had
this,
made
he
12
hadn't.
Monkeys,
That was
which
the
is
big thing.
amazing.
Yeah.
And he's actually a huge moneymaker.
When did The Kid come? Was that after
The
Sixth
year
Sense?
after.
Okay.
That was the post. Like, oh, I guess he's good with kids. Let's
Yeah.
keep pairing him up
Yeah.
with kids.
That movie was a big deal then because it was like Bruce Willis and another kid. Like,
And it's called Disney's The Kid. Like, it's one of
Yeah.
those things where Disney was like, we're putting our name on this. This is going to be big.
Well, you know the number one reason that happened was they made the film, and then whoever retained the rights to Charlie Chaplin's The Kid was like, oh, we actually own the rights to
Oh, so they had to call
So
it
this is like a
Disney's
Lee
The Kid.
Daniels,
call
the
it
Butler
Disney's-
Ah, I
situation.
didn't
it was.
know that.
It was.
Well, he also, around then he makes The Story of Us with Michelle Pfeiffer. He
Right.
makes Breakfast of Champions, which is like a legendary disaster.
That comes out very shortly after
It
Sixth Sense.
disappeared.
Yeah.
Makes no money.
Right.
And then, obviously after that, The Whole Nine Yards, which was a big
Mhm.
hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got Unbreakable
Unbreakable.
and Bandits.
Yeah.
And then he goes right back into his like dead period where it's like Heart's War, Tears of the Sun, Hostage. These movies that
Such
nobody.
a weird career.
He's got the worst.
He's still hanging in
Agent.
there, though, you know?
Oh, when he's good, he's great.
Yeah.
Because he had that one fucking year where he came back and it was like, oh, do you want Looper and Moonrise Kingdom within 4 months of each other?
Totally.
And then also I'm
Totally.
going to host Saturday Night Live and seem engaged and be really funny. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, Bruce, thank you. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Here, we made a pot roast for you.
And
he
then-
shits on the pot roast.
And he made Die Hard. What the
Good
hell
Day
was
to
that
Die
one?
Hard.
Good Day to Die Hard.
And he made Red 2.
Cop Out was before that.
Oh, Cop Out I saw in theaters.
Pop out.
That was a really
That's a
outrageously
disaster.
bad movie.
yeah. And he's awful.
He is actively not awake in that
Yeah.
movie. Like, I think someone is behind him, like, just jerking his arms around and stuff.
He's kind of fun in Red, though, right? The first Red?
Yeah. Sure. Didn't see Red 2.
Did not see Red 2, I'll admit.
Okay, so this is what I remember about The Sixth Sense coming out.
We're such box office nerds and Oscar
know.
nerds
Love
in
box
this, in
office
this
stuff.
room.
This,
Yeah.
like
This is
going
the thing.
through.
We could do this all
yeah,
day.
the top weekend in 1999.
Oh.
Like, God, that's all I want to hear talk about.
Okay, do you want to come back? We should do an Oscar episode, right?
Oh, yeah, we need to do an Oscar
I think we'll
episode.
do,
She
like-
does so much Oscar
Right.
stuff. I don't know.
What's the blank check Oscar? I mean,
It'll be the Blank Check Awards.
this
We pick our awards.
Oh, the blankies.
I think we do the blankies. By the way, our fans are called blankies now.
okay, yeah. No, I think I heard that.
But we do the blank checks, aka the blankies. I think we'll do like Oscar weekend. We'll release an episode where we do our picks.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds fun.
Right? That'd be fun.
We should totally do that.
Yeah, we should do that.
But wait, I just wanted to. All right, so let me just tell you guys.
99's so crazy.
The Sixth Sense weekend. It opens to 26 million. The next week it makes 25.7 million.
That's bananas.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
And the next weekend it makes 23.9 million.
Jeez.
The weekend after that it makes 20 million, and the weekend after that, which is Labor Day weekend, it makes 29 million.
Jesus Christ. Wow.
So it's 5 weeks in a row, number one, and then it goes like 16, 8, 11.
So what's
8,
it up
7.
to?
It drops like 20% every week.
What's the total after week 5, after Labor Day weekend?
The total after Labor Day weekend is 176 million.
Which today, adjusted for inflation, would be like $300 million.
And what did you say the budget was?
Budget 40 million.
That's actually kind of expensive.
Kind
for
of
that
high.
movie, yeah.
For a movie that's actually pretty like low on the sort of like big set pieces
But
or
it looks
anything.
really good.
Looks
really good.
Very expensive.
So I think this is the first thing we should say. This is an incredible looking movie, and it's beautifully composed, and it's crazy. I'm not saying Wide Awake doesn't look terrible, but it is crazy to watch Wide Awake and then to see this movie and think like, where did this come from?
It's crazy that this is his third film.
That
like in a weird way,
opening sequence with the reflection
unbelievable.
in the frickin' plaque that he
He
got.
got fucking Tak Fujimoto to shoot this.
Yep.
Who is
Very
Jonathan
good DP.
Demme's guy and is like a king, a master, right? But also it's like, in a way, if this was his first film, which a lot of people think it is erroneously.
I keep thinking it. I actually keep thinking Unbreakable came before this, which is also wrong.
Fascinating.
I know.
If this was his first film, it would almost make more sense than it being his third film. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, sure. Because then you're like, whoa, here's this guy. Like,
and he
wow,
came out
he's just...
fully formed. He's Orson Welles. Or if it was his 10th movie and it's like, oh, you see the slow build.
Well, if Orson Welles had been making movies in the 90s, he probably would have had some shitty NYU student film. That, like,
100%.
You know, well, I don't know. Sorry, I haven't seen it.
I'd watch it.
I don't know if it's shitty.
But then he has like a mediocre, although deeply profound to me as an 8-year-old, Miramax dramedy.
Yeah, Griffin was the one person who liked Wide Awake when it came out.
It spoke to me. I saw it in theaters. David, for the listener at
Sometimes
home, has put his hand on Ben's
Ben's
shoulder.
next to me, and I just put my. I'm a very touchy
guy. He's such
person.
a great guy. But yeah, there's such a humongous leap between Wide Awake and Praying with Anger have the same strengths and the same weaknesses, and then Sixth Sense all of a sudden
strengths and lots of weaknesses.
all of a sudden it's just like totally clicking. And it's not just that, like, okay, he's got a great cinematographer. You know, he has a bigger budget. He wrote such a good script, and he's got great actors that the studio clearly gave him time to get it right.
Yeah.
It feels like they gave him space to get it right.
Yeah, I bet they shot this movie for like 20 weeks or something crazy.
It feels very immaculate, you know? It feels like a sort of, he's got a lot of control over every image, the rhythms, every cut. And I think part of that's because of how deliberately it needs to be constructed in order for the twist to pay off and then to work the second time. Right. It feels like they really...
When you know the twist, certainly the movie has this like calibration to every scene where it's like everything needs to line up with what's going to happen. Right?
Yeah.
So I feel like the 40 million, because if I remember correctly, when this film... I think Bruce Willis had pulled out of another Touchstone film, and he owed them one.
Okay. Sure.
I think there was a factor into this where Bruce Willis maybe got paid less than he usually did because it was sort of a contractual obligation based on another thing that had gone wrong.
According to this piece of paper that is here, he earned $10 million for The Sixth Sense, so he was a quarter of the budget. But yes, he had backed out of another Disney project, and he signed a 3-picture deal with them to make up for it, which led to Armageddon, The Sixth Sense, and The Kid. Disney's The Kid.
Disney's The Kid.
Disney's The Kid.
10 million's not bad, but I bet his quote was higher. I'm willing to believe.
Oh,
yeah. He was probably coming close to 20 at that point.
Yeah. And that's back when the $20 million actor was like, remember, it was like, oh, there's 8 $20 million actors, you know?
And there's like fewer now, which is
totally.
how crazy things are.
But there was like a weird $20 million boom where like Jim Carrey was the first with the cable guy.
Yeah.
And then
everyone lost their mind about that.
Everyone started getting 20. Yeah. They started handing out 20 to anybody. Chris Tucker got
$20
million for Rush Hour 2.
Well, deservedly.
Yeah, but it was also his 4th movie.
Have you ever heard the Soderbergh story about Julia Roberts?
No.
So she got 20 for maybe Notting Hill, like some picture around 99, 2000. I forget which one it was.
Yeah.
And
I think it would have been after My Best Friend's Wedding.
Yeah,
that was a
her.
That was her comeback.
I think Notting Hill and Runaway Bride, she maybe got 20 each.
Might have been Runaway Bride.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she got 20 mil, and I guess that was well known. And he wanted her for Ocean's 11, so he sent her an envelope with a $20 bill in it, and it with a note saying, like, I want you for Ocean's 11, or here you get 20 a picture now. What a guy. What a fucking guy.
What a fucking guy.
And it worked.
Oh,
and it worked.
Love that story.
He had already gotten her an Oscar at that point, right?
Maybe not before he shot Ocean's 11. Not sure, because it's the year after. Because Soderbergh made Aaron Brockovich, then Traffic, then Ocean's 11 in a 2-year period.
Well, so Aaron Brockovich comes out March of 2000, and then Ocean's 11 comes out November 2001. So they might have been right,
December 2000.
So they knew each other by then.
So he'd shot Aaron Brockovich, but she probably hadn't won at the point that they started shooting.
But I mean, that was in the bag. Talk about an Oscar win that was in the bag.
Oh man. She can't let that orchestra cut her off.
Oh boy.
Shut up, that stick man.
I remember at my whatever Oscar party I went to with my parents. When I was like 6 or 7, whatever year The English Patient came out.
98.
I had not seen it.
English Patient was 96.
You're totally right. What's the matter?
Right, it was before Titanic.
Yeah, because Titanic's 97.
Yeah.
What's 98?
Shakespeare in Love is 98.
98.
Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah.
Oh, so much better than The English Patient.
Okay, so 96, the 97 awards. We're going to talk about Sixth Sense, Ben. I promise. Ben,
He printed out all this information for us.
Ben has printed out 3 pages with 17 bullet points.
I got it from Mental Floss. I just wanted to be a good producer and try to,
Yeah, I didn't give
but
you
he
credit when I read
highlighted
off
the
those
ones
stats
that
earlier.
he thinks
I'm
are
sorry.
most
That's quite
important. 97 Academy Awards, I go to a party with my parents and their friends, and everyone's like putting in money, and I was like, what's this? I was like, if you guess the most correct winners, you win the pot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll do this. And they're like, but Griffin, you haven't seen any of the movies other than, I don't know, like Flubber was nominated, whatever. Yeah.
Oh,
Babe would have been nominated that year.
Was Babe the same year?
No,
was it
Babe's
the year
95.
before?
95, you're right. I don't know what I had seen, if anything, but I just know I was like, well, these
you
grown-ups
went for
keep
it.
on talking about the English Patient. So I picked the English Patient in every single
I believe
category.
it won like 8 or 9 Oscars.
And I came in second place for the night.
Yeah.
I was the only one who had Binoche because everyone else assumed it was going to Bacall.
Right.
And I was just like,
you
lady
didn't know
from the
enough.
English Patient.
Yeah.
Boom. So then they were like, this is the kid. And so like every year after that,
This
when I
is
came to
Disney's
the
the
party,
kid.
they were like, this is Disney's the kid.
It's called improv.
When I came to the party, they were like, this kid, he picks wild, he's going to win. So I came in the next year and I was like 8. And they were like, kid, what you got? And I was like, Full Monty. And I picked Full
You
Monty.
go full Titanic. Come on, you could have repeated the same strategy.
No, I was like,
and walked
I
You were
away.
contrarian.
I picked Titanic in every other category and picked Full Monty for Best Picture. And they were like, what are you talking about? Titanic's going. I was like, just watch me. So then the next year I came back and they were like, kid fucking lost it. He's like over the hill. We shouldn't. And you know what I picked for Best Picture?
Shakespeare in Love.
Because I'd seen it and I hadn't seen Saving Private Ryan because it was too violent.
Oh.
So I was the only one at the party who had Shakespeare in Love. And I remember throwing my hands up in the air and running in circles
Is it
of laps.
Harrison Ford who's like, Shakespeare in
Shakespeare
Love?
in Love. Yeah.
God, what a great movie. Anyway,
Great
The
movie.
Sixth Sense.
The Sixth Sense.
Guys.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
So-
Katie, what did you think of the movie?
So this movie is great. All right. I have one gripe, as Ben mentioned before the thing started, but I don't want to start talking about the twist yet. I feel like we got to build.
build it.
the
But
twist.
FYI, guys, we are going to spoil the ending of
Yes.
The Sixth
Yeah.
Sense
Spoilers.
in case you want to keep that.
All right. Here's my overarching theory that I think we can start with. I think
Okay.
Toni Collette is the secret weapon of this movie.
Agreed. 100%.
She is the reason this is.
She's so
She's not the
fucking
only reason, but like,
MVP,
oh my
I would argue. Yeah.
God.
I have the exact same thesis.
Oscar nominated, we should mention.
Yes.
Her only Oscar nomination.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Wow.
Yeah. I agree that I think she's the turnkey of the entire film
Yeah,
working.
but also Haley Joel Osment is so much better than I ever would have remembered on my own.
Mm.
Like, because kid acting in general for me, like Jacob Tremblay, good on you. I don't wish. You
Yeah,
had an
me.
Oscar
That's how I
nomination.
feel too. I mean,
But Haley Joel Osment is great in this.
well, he's given a performance.
Yeah,
is what I would
he's
say.
actually
It is that
acted.
rare thing.
Yeah. I mean, and he'd been acting since he was like 2. So
Right, and his
obviously
Forrest
dad
Gump.
was
he
an
was Forrest Gump
actor.
Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was from like an acting
I think
family.
his dad was like an acting teacher. I listened to his episode of WTF. His father had like sort of been an actor
He
and
did
then
an
became.
episode of WTF.
Yeah, it's weird. His dad
No,
like
it's on
functioned
his
as his
fact
acting
sheet.
coach.
His father, Eugene Michael Osmond, is a theater and movie actor.
Okay.
Who made sure his son read the entire screenplay and like sort of coached him through it. You know.
But you often see child performances that you can tell are coached.
Well, we talk about
because-
Jake Lloyd. And
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And it's like they're repeating the line readings their parents gave them in the trailer. And like, okay, it makes sense that this kid had a real deal actor coaching him through it. Like he had a dad, someone he was comfortable with,
Yeah.
you know?
But I mean,
But he's like-
But
Go
he's got
ahead.
the
He's
fucking
responding to
toolbox.
Bruce Willis in
Yes.
the
Yeah.
scenes. He's like,
yeah,
I mean,
he's a real actor.
like the scene, which it's also incredibly well shot, where Toni Collette's going to the washing machine and she comes back in the kitchen and the cabinets are all open. It's so chilling,
So
and Haley Joel
scary.
Osment is great in it because he's reacting.
Yeah, I think
that scene is so frightening.
It's so
Me and Ben were
scary.
talking about how this movie is really scary for the first 50 minutes, which
Yeah.
is how long it takes before he reveals what's happening to
insane.
him.
And
Where you're
then-
like, what's up with this kid?
But
Yeah.
then after that, you get the Misha Barton stuff. It gets even scarier.
No, that's also, I'm not joking. Yeah. Jesus.
You know, I want to do this. I want to talk about, just because this film was so much about expectations, how much it caught everyone by surprise, the film itself. So you said, Katey, you saw it late.
Yeah.
You didn't see when it was released.
I think I was reading Entertainment Weekly and I knew the twist by then somehow. I think I saw it in theaters, but like in September or something like that.
Okay, but you did see it when in its run, but went into it knowing probably the sense of what it was.
Yeah.
David, do you remember when you saw it? I mean, what your
I saw it in theaters,
were?
didn't know the twist. It was awesome.
Nah.
I remember
That's the way to do it.
I remember knowing almost nothing about it.
I barely remember. And we're talking a long time ago now. It's kind of a bummer.
Galaxy
But yes.
Far, Far Away.
Yeah.
My parents hated Bruce Willis. I very much was raised in a way where they
I
were
loved Bruce Willis.
Oh, I started loving him after this. But I definitely inherited. This was maybe one of the first times I split from my parents, where they were like, "Hey, our movie stars that we like are like Bill Murray. Like that's like we were like a Bill Murray family.
Bill Murray
This is a Bill Murray family."
But it was, and then they'd be like, "We don't find Jim Carrey funny," and I was like, "Okay, we don't find Jim Carrey funny." Like I remember having
I found Jim Carrey very funny.
Yeah.
I had to discover him on my own later because my parents were like, Jim Carrey's not funny. And I was like, okay, Jim Carrey's not funny. And they were like, Bill
if you
Murray.
had been 10 when Ace Ventura came out, you would have had no choice in the matter. You would have found him funny.
No, but I remember all my friends going to see all the Jim Carrey movies and me going into school being like, I don't see Jim Carrey movies. He's not funny. I just parroted back what my parents said. I was like, he just acts with his mouth too much.
Do you guys know why I liked Bruce Willis?
Why?
North.
Oh, David.
North.
I liked North.
Do you know why I liked Bruce Willis movies?
Also, I had seen The Fifth Element and Armageddon, so I knew my Bruce Willis.
This was probably my very first Bruce Willis.
That's quite
movie.
possible. Well, wait, what?
I was gonna say Bruno the Kid. It's a dumb joke. Do you remember the cartoon show that was him as a little kid as a secret agent?
I do, yeah.
And he played harmonica.
Bruce Willis made some weird choices.
He made some terrible choices. Bruno the Kid. I remember they had a Wendy's kids meal promotion, and then I started watching the show because I wanted to know what the toys were based off.
Wow, that merchandise really worked on you.
Yeah, merchandise spotlight.
I mean, Griffin's come on, you listen to the podcast. Merchandise really works on it.
It does its number. Merchandise is essentially I was a kid where if you had an advertising campaign, you could test how well it was working based on whether or not I would absorb it as a life mantra. So I remember adults would be like, Griffin, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'd be like, I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. And I thought that was a legitimate answer to that question.
I want to revisit the Toni Collette thing because I do think it's crucial because I think that so many actors would have played her as a trashy, kind of fucked up mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would have made very easy choices with that role.
Yeah.
And it's that she's not like that you're like, okay, this is not, I don't know. It makes the first half of the movie succeed. Obviously, it makes the second. Go on. You talk.
Well, no, I was just going to say the thing about my parents didn't like Bruce Willis. So when the movie was coming out, my dad was like, it's another dumb Bruce Willis movie. I think he even thought it was an action movie.
Sure.
It was some dumb Bruce Willis
Although it
movie.
had this esoteric weird poster with a kid coming out of a glowing light. Remember?
Yeah.
And it had the first sense is sight, the second sense is sound. It had the
So it was
list.
kind of marketed as a spooky thriller kind of
And
thing.
that was part of, I think, Shyamalan being like, you guys fucked up the marketing for Wide Awake. You made it be about a goofy nun who plays baseball.
Right.
Rosie O'Donnell's in the movie for 10 minutes. So they were like, we're going to just go hard on Rosie O'Donnell. So he, I think, was like, we're going to do this as I want to do it. And if it doesn't work, then, I'm out of the business. I don't know.
Bruce Willis's name was above the title, but I believe in the main one sheet, his face was not on it. It was the silhouette of the kid.
They later
listing of
made
the
a one
senses.
sheet
Right.
with his face.
And
See, I didn't know if the simpler one was the one that came out later when it was here's a spooky movie you should see. It's unclear to me how much people knew to be scared of The Sixth Sense when they went into it.
That's why I kind of want to get at this because I don't know if I was just more sheltered from it than most people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're looking at the poster.
But it's a very evocative poster.
Good poster.
I knew very little about it. I think I saw it with my dad maybe in its third week of release.
Sure.
And he had very much written off when it came out.
But it was such a hit that you were interested? Was that part of it?
Well, it was that thing where my dad was like, I've heard from a lot of people it's really good. It's really scary. And I was like, I don't like scary movies. And he was like, the kid that's supposed to be amazing.
So, and you like that?
I really...
He didn't tell you this is from the director of Wide Awake, your favorite movie?
I didn't know that until years later.
Sure, right.
And here's what's fascinating. I walked out of Sixth Sense and was like, this guy's my favorite director, not knowing that he had already made one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, anyway.
IMDb really would have helped you out back then.
Yeah, hardcore.
Oh, yeah.
But my dad, I really wanted to be an actor. My parents didn't want me to be a child actor. And so I went to school where we didn't do plays.
Uh-huh.
So when kids were good in movies, I was very engaged because I had this sense of jealousy, but
I was
also
like that too. Not the jealousy part, but I
Yeah.
certainly was engaged by the kid actors of our generation, like Macaulay Culkin and Mara Wilson, and those kids who were
yes.
I recognize it. There's that person again.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember, I feel like the main reason my dad took me to see the movie was everyone says this kid's really good.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see this kid. And all I knew was At that point, I guess the TV ads had the "I see dead people" line. So it was like, okay, it's about ghosts. It's about a kid, Bruce Willis, who my parents don't like, but I have no sense of who he is. I know nothing else. And I think a key to this is, I know we'll talk about the twist thing later. I want to talk more about Toni Collette. But I don't remember at that point in time, and I don't know if it was just the environment I was in, no one primed me for it to be a twist movie.
Sure.
I remember 3 weeks
No one went
release,
in saying, like, holy shit, this movie's ending is crazy. Like, which
But I think that's probably what like adults were saying.
part of the word of mouth.
Yeah,
must
maybe.
have
I
been.
mean, I don't know
Like,
if it was just that I was young, but I remember hearing it's very scary. I remember hearing this kid's amazing. He might win the Oscar. I remember even 3 weeks into release, like, I remember when M. Night Shyamalan makes his cameo as the Doctor, I recognized him on screen in the movie because I had seen so many interviews with him.
Oh,
Right.
he's been like on Entertainment Tonight and
Whatever,
stuff.
yeah, Entertainment Tonight and, at the movies I was watching, all those shows, he was starting to circulate around as, like, the young hotshot director because he was, like, 29. The movie was doing insanely well. And it was sort of like that rare thing where, like, a film just sort of catches like wildfire and everyone has to see it to be part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And it's not a pre-built property.
Right.
Well, that it happened right after the Blair Witch Project is so like
Yeah,
there
it
were
is
two
mind-boggling.
movies
Insane.
that did that in one summer, and
Right.
it
Yeah.
worked both times.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this is a PG-13 movie,
Yes.
which people forget because it sort of walks the line.
Yeah.
But whereas Blair Witch Project thing was more of a grown-up movie and like a college movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Like, and the Blair Witch Project was that thing where we went in being told, like, you'll never be so, like, fucking scared, like, watching this thing. I remember I was going in expecting just, like, the most terrifying ride of my life.
I'm sure there were water cooler conversations that were like, man, crazy twist ending. But I remember the more dominant thing being, until like a little later, well, the kid, but also people being like, it's so fucking scary.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or people being like, you have to see it. You won't believe how scary it is. And so that's what I went in primed for. The film, like all great horror films do, invest you immediately emotionally in the characters.
Yeah.
And it's the way that, Haley Joel Osment's incredible. Toni Collette's incredible. But those two characters are so well written too, with I feel like not hitting any of the overly cliche points of like, okay, the father left them.
Sure.
The mother's scraping by.
The kid is troubled.
The kid's troubled.
Yeah.
She was close to her mother who just died. They're really kind of like just pulling it together.
And I love that thing that the movie starts with, like, Bruce Willis is like, oh, okay, this is like an absent father thing. The kid's holding on to that. And it's a scene where the kid where Haley Joel Osment has to walk towards him when he's right and walk away when he's wrong.
Yeah.
And then Haley Joel Osment's like, oh, do you get it? And then he's like, no, you don't get it. And then, like, leaves.
Yeah.
Well, it's like my big takeaway from watching this movie is it's like, it's kind of a perfect screenplay.
Yeah, great screenplay.
In the sense that, like, you could just make a college screenwriting course just this script. And I wouldn't argue it's the best script of all time, but if you're looking to show, like, hey, here's how a script should function.
Here's how you put all the pieces in place that make everything you want to do later on pay off.
Right, but it's also, like, a lot of very active, like, show, don't tell choices where it's like, how do you get the characterization out? That thing with the game, the mind-reading game is, like, so strong. The scene that comes right before that, it's actually part of the same scene, but the dialogue exchange that comes right before that, where Toni Collette greets Haley Joel Osment, and she goes, so how was your day today?
Oh, and they do this sort of fake.
I won the lottery.
It's a good
and
scene.
Then this and that.
Yeah, it's such a good
It's
scene.
so good, and I remember that hitting me so hard, even as a child of, like, I recognize that as being the type of mother I see of other kids around me. Like, that's the kid where there's something sad and I can't quite put my finger on what it is.
Yeah.
And so it's a single mother.
And they both get it. Like,
she
they're
seems
both,
sweaty, and it's like, but she really, really loves him, and she's
so
trying
good
her
in that
hardest to
scene.
put a good face on.
Yeah, you know what detail this isn't in the screenplay, but it's visually that there's a puppy and a kitten, like maybe two puppies, like running around this house, and you don't know why they're there, and they keep showing up like in the middle of things, and they're in the way. They're not characters, but you're like, oh, this is a house where they would just get a puppy,
Right?
Like maybe to make up for the dad leaving or something like
right,
that. And she is a woman who would want to bring like more helpless creatures into her house.
Right.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
No, that character is so well done, and she really downplays it. You could have gone harder
Totally
on the accent.
downplays it.
And even the design of the character, the nails are, like, good but not overdone.
No,
The shirts are too tight and too shiny, but not crazy.
You have Helen Hunt in Pay It Forward around the same time, another Haley Joel Osment movie, where she is, like, been shot in the face with makeup and, like, has these, like, crazy, like, bank teller nails. And, like, that's, like, the bad version of this character.
But you get the sense of history, which is she was probably, like, a total heartbreaker.
Oh, Toni Collette?
Yeah.
Totally.
Got together with a guy, got pregnant, like, 18 or 19. Then, like,
How old
reality
was Toni
set
Collette when
in.
this came out?
That's a good question. Let me tell you.
I guess 34?
No.
You think
She was
older or
way
younger?
younger than that.
Really? So,
She was born in 72.
So this was she was 27?
Yeah, around 26, 27.
Wow.
Yeah, so like
she's really young. Yeah.
Right, so like teen pregnancy, you know? So it's like she was like the prettiest girl.
I mean,
gets
she's
together
playing
with a guy.
a little older is my guess. Because that's how Hollywood treated Toni Collette. It was like, oh, you're like the ugly duckling from Muriel's Wedding. Why don't you play like the friend?
Well, so Haley Joel Osment is 8 in this.
Yeah.
So so she would have had him when she was like 18.
Right.
Yeah. But I think you get the whole sense of history there where it's like, you know, reality sets in. She has to start working. She starts aging.
Wow, you're digging deep into this. Yeah.
Well, and the guy leaves her. You know?
Sure, right.
You know, and you get the sense of all that in this woman who now has like kind of fucked. You know, had all this potential.
And has a kid who's really weird,
who she loves,
but can't
unreservedly, but doesn't know how to fucking deal with it.
No, and also the kid is showing signs of being like an abused kid, and that's no good for her. And there's that scene with Shyamalan as the doctor, right?
Yeah.
Well, and you get why he would look at her askance because she has all the signs of it, but you also believe in her so much that she wouldn't hurt him.
Right.
Totally. It's
right.
developed really well up to that point.
But what a really, I mean, God, what a good fucking performance.
Yeah.
And there's the scene. Is it the one with the cupboards? I mean, that one's really well played.
Oof.
What a good fucking, because it's one continuous shot with no cuts.
Yeah.
So they're at the table. It goes handheld.
It's when she's taking his tie off. She's dumping it in the thing. She's getting another tie for him. The little clip-on ties. Yeah.
But it's like he's got such a good sense, Shyamalan, at this point of using spatial geography to scare people, to establish where everything is, and then without a cut. Terrifying people by having them go, I understand how that could have happened. Even from a filmmaking perspective, how you could have opened all those cupboards that quickly
it's
in
the
one
cheapest
continuous
special
shot.
effect in the world.
It's true.
You get 3 PAs to go run and open cabinets.
Not even a noise. You know, like,
But what's great about it, too, is, because I remember that being the moment that really started to, like, put me on edge watching it for the first time.
Startling, yeah.
You hear her scream before you see what she's screaming at.
Right.
So you follow her from behind. She throws the tie into the washing machine. She comes out, you hear, and the camera spins around, and you see the cupboards, and he's just sitting there still, but looks haunted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And his face is so perfect.
There's that shot afterwards of, like, the palm print on the table.
He's terrified, but he can't show her why he's terrified, because he already is aware of the fact that he's putting her through too much.
Yeah, he's trying to protect her by asking for the Pop-Tarts.
But he also knows that she's going to get angry at him, so he doesn't, like, it's so good. And yeah, what's the one where she's like, what's the scene where she sort of breaks down and is like, stop being so weird. I need you to like be normal. One of the weird scenes where something happens.
It's before he gets locked in the cabinet by those mean kids at the party, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a tough scene.
Oh, God.
There's a scene where most movies would have gone into the cabinet, and this movie doesn't need to.
Now, I don't know how much of this was intentional or not, but the character of the other kid at school, who's the child actor.
Trevor Howard.
Yes.
Tommy Tomasino.
Trevor Morgan is his name.
Trevor Morgan, not Trevor Howard.
I worked with him in a film called Butt Whistle. That was not what it was called when we shot it. And sometimes...
Oh, wow. It came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was shot like 4 years ago.
I mean, I know him mostly from the Glass House in Jurassic Park 3 when he was like sort of the stock annoying kid.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the Glass House?
Yep.
What a weird movie that is. That's like basically Lily Sobieski is afraid for 2 hours that Stellan Skarsgård is going to rape her. Yes.
Ooh.
Awful horror movie.
You know how terrible
he's gonna get away from him.
He's gonna
that's that movie. Go, Lily. Go.
Different house.
Leave the glass house.
Go to a different house.
Go on, sir.
Or throw some stones.
It's called improv.
He plays this kid who's been in a cough syrup commercial.
Yeah.
And now thinks he's like big shit.
Hot shit.
And keeps on referencing acting. Like the opening scene where like Toni Collette's looking at the window to make sure he's not walking alone.
Is that the same kid, the improv kid?
Yes.
Yeah,
it is. Because Ben was asking me who's that kid, and I couldn't remember. Is that Trevor Howard?
Yes,
I mean,
Trevor Morgan. It's all the same kid. Yeah.
I mean, I was interested in his name. I just liked that line.
Well, this is a UCB podcast.
Yeah, do you like that? The improv? Yeah.
Well, because I wanted to pull the clip, and I mean, we didn't really get to it.
We were trying to find it on
recorded.
YouTube, but I mean, that's a pretty obscure Sixth Sense moment.
Yeah.
But what will happen is after we record this and post, I'm going to add that line throughout the episode.
You'll keep adding it in.
Whenever you guys have like a good riff moment.
Oh, whenever we go on a tangent? That hasn't happened so far.
So you'll play it right now, but it'll also at this point be the 7th time you played it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But where he's like, did you like that? It was called improv. It was a good choice by me, right? When I put my arm around your shoulder.
Now, I find this very interesting because...
He's made 3 movies with bullies now. 3 in a row.
Yes.
Wide Awake and Praying with Anger, both very bully heavy.
Yeah.
He's
M. Night Shyamalan probably really got beat up as a kid.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Obsessive
and
boys,
I mean, I think it's his later films prove he has, problems with criticism.
Very good point.
Katey, well said.
I don't know if
That's
he
a
has
preview
any...
of future episodes.
Does he have siblings? Because he does kind of feel like the special, like his parents are just like,
An only
Manoj,
child.
you're the greatest.
Whether or
like-
not he had siblings, he definitely was the special child.
Right.
So here's some things I picked up on, okay? Haley Joel Osment's character in this film is kind of the same character as Joseph Cross's character in Wide Awake.
Sure, and someone who's sort of like on the bleeding edge of like being in touch with something supernatural.
Yes, and is super precocious, wise beyond his years. His parents don't know how to deal with him.
Very true.
Obsessed with death, right?
Yeah.
The difference between...
Toni Collette is like the Dennis Leary of this movie.
Yes.
Dennis Leary's in Wide Awake.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much about this movie I'm never going to see.
You're never going to see it.
Katey, it's a delight.
It's so bad.
If you want to know what it would be like to raise little Griffin...
You know what?
watch
I'm going
Wide
to
Awake.
listen to the podcast that has, as we record this, not been released. So then I'll
but
just
you will
learn all
listen
about it.
and you'll be delighted by our wonderful commentary.
Yes.
Now, M. Night Shyamalan said when he made Wide Awake that his goal was to make a comedy that could make you cry. And so, like, everything the kid says in Wide Awake is, like, quote-unquote profound.
Oh, boy.
Must we talk about Wide Awake?
But it's, like, simultaneously, like, touching and funny.
It's so bad.
And this film, he just makes... Like, this is, like, the real-life version of what the Joseph Cross kid would be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
No,
in Wide
yeah.
Awake, he's, like, a movie kid.
But
And
he
in this,
doesn't
it's like...
speak in homilies. Like,
But that's the point.
Yeah.
A kid who was, like, that obsessed with death and is that wise beyond his years wouldn't be, like, funny and charming about it. He'd be totally weighed down by it. He would act like Haley Joel Osment does in this film. He'd wear little glasses. He'd walk around. He'd constantly look like he was on the verge of
With
tears.
the glasses, his dad's
Cutest.
glasses. Oh.
And the little shock of white hair. And I also think...
He was a cute kid actor.
I
cute.
can't
Oh, God.
stand kid actors, but Haley Joel Osment works.
Yeah, he worked.
He's so present. That's the big thing. It's like he's so...
We got to talk about Bruce Willis, though. I feel like
That's
now
true.
we're giving Bruce short shrift because it's
Well, yeah.
true that he was the least discussed, I think, of the three big performances in this movie. But he's
very
pretty
good in it.
I want to talk about Haley a little more, and then we can get on to Bruce.
Crying out
No,
loud.
'cause here's the thing.
You know
Okay.
who he lost to at the Oscars? Can you remember?
Michael
Can
Caine
you-
said
yeah,
House Rules. I
Michael
was
Caine.
furious.
I know.
Yeah.
I never wanted anyone to win an Oscar more than I did that year. Haley Joel Osment.
That's
Best
crazy
Supporting
because I really wanted Tom Cruise to win or
Actor. I hadn't
Jude
seen
Law.
Magnolia yet. Yeah,
And
I
it was
hadn't seen
Michael
either.
Clark Duncan, number
And Michael
5
Clark
in that
Duncan's
crowd.
in there.
Yeah.
Michael Caine is not great in The Cider House Rules, and I love Michael
Yeah,
Caine.
he's one of the best actors of all time.
completely forgot that was. Is that his only Oscar?
He has
Hannah
two
and Her
Oscars
Sisters.
because he's
Hannah and Her
great in
Sisters.
Hannah
Okay,
and
he
Her
is great in Hannah and Her
Sisters.
Sisters. Yeah.
That is a fine win.
But he was not at the ceremony because he was filming Jaws for the Revenge.
For Hannah and Her Sisters.
Yes.
He was at the
He
ceremony.
was
for
doing a
Cider
remake
House
of Jaws for the
Rules.
Revenge.
Remember when he
Kid
lost for The
United.
Quiet American and he was furious and it was like, dude, you were never
won.
going to win for
Yeah.
The Quiet American. I mean, you can see his like
You like
red,
just
angry
lost.
face.
When, Quite American was after.
It was like 3 years
Yeah,
later.
Adrian
yeah.
Brody. It was the year
Yeah.
Adrian Brody.
It was
won.
the year Adrian Brody
Yeah.
beat like the field that was like
Daniel
Daniel
Day-Lewis,
Day-Lewis,
Jack
Nicolas
Nicholson.
Cage, Jack Nicholson.
It was
Yeah.
4 guys who've won already.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And Michael Caine. Improv's going to go right there, right, Ben?
Yeah.
It's called improv.
All right, we're back.
I remember the narrative being that year. Honestly, the campaign narrative that year was, well, Michael Caine's won before, but he didn't get to give a speech.
Okay.
So we should give him the
Okay.
Oscar.
Wow.
I mean, they never give it to kids except for Anna Paquin.
My dad explained that to me, and I was like, no, there's no way he can lose. This is like the best performance I've ever seen. And like, admittedly, I'd seen like 12 performances at that point. But I was like, this is the best performance of all time. And I remember the year before that was Ving Rhames wins the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a TV movie.
For Don King.
Don King Only in America.
Yeah.
And he gets up there and he's
gets
like,
Jack
I'm
Lemmon on
nominated
stage.
against Jack Lemmon.
Oh, my God.
My acting idol. I got to give the award
It's
to
the
him.
Yeah.
corniest thing in the
Oh my
world, but
God.
Ving Rhames totally
I
pulls
just
it
saw
off.
that
Yeah.
for, I guess, the first time since 1998, and it's incredible.
He's
Jack,
so good.
Jack Lemmon is like so embarrassed,
That's
but
the
kind of
best
delighted.
thing. Jack
Yeah.
Lemmon's like, huh? Oh, okay. And isn't it for like, it's for like the 12 Angry Men remake. It's
Yes,
not even
exactly.
for like some seminal Jack
Yeah.
Lemmon performance.
Yeah, it's for the
not even fucking Tuesdays with Maury
No.
over here.
No, it's the 12 Angry Men remake, and like when he did like the fucking like red carpet line of like posing
This
for the
is a
photographs.
real tangent.
He had
Oh my
no,
God.
because I remember sitting there at the Oscar night, and they go Michael Caine, and I went, wait, hold on, guys, hold on. Caine might give the Oscar to Haley. Like I really thought Caine was gonna, and there was the point in the speech where he was like, "Oh my God, my
There's a young lad
competition."
out there.
He said, Haley, I remember seeing your performance and going, well, there's no chance I win this year. I'm not even gonna try to do the accent. But he was
Haley.
like, he said
I
it, and
can't
I
do
was
him
like,
either.
guys, hold on, he's gonna do it. He's gonna give the Oscar to Haley Joel. But when this landed, you were like, this isn't just a great performance from a child. Because someone like Jacob Tremblay or like Yvonne Zane Wallace, you're like, this is a great performance, but it might be the director, the circumstances, the part.
Yeah, and it's a kid with a lot of good energy. Like, it's being captured very well.
Yeah.
Right?
The thing with
like
Haley
Evangeline
Joel,
Wallace and Jacob Tremblay are a lot of voiceover, which is always your first clue.
Of course,
that,
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, okay, and let's try it again. Like,
Yeah, not that they're not great kids and don't deserve all their success.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm actually more in on Jacob Tremblay after his speech at the Critics' Choice Awards,
was
where I'm like,
cute.
wow, this is a poised kid.
Yeah,
like,
poised
maybe
kid.
this kid knows what he's talking
But
about.
what's amazing about Haley Joel Osment is he feels his craft is so strong. He feels really restrained, which is a thing you don't see from kids' performances, where it's like he's not giving us everything he has. He's holding a lot back in a way that is engaging. Because most kids, it's like, if you're going to get a good performance out of them, it's them going whole hog. And I remember it feeling at the time, not like, oh, this is an insane fluke performance from a kid, but like, this is the next major actor.
Yeah.
There's no question this guy grows up to become.
Yeah.
He's the male Jodie Foster. That's what he's going to be.
Yeah, I guess Jodie Foster is our one model of a kid actor who, because like it's so rare for
It's
a kid
so
actor
rare.
to
I
translate
mean,
that to an
you
adult
could say
career.
Paquin. I mean, I'm not the
Yeah.
Paquin, but you
Sure.
know, she's had a nice career.
Yeah, she's doing all
like,
right for herself.
There's a few, but it's certainly we all thought. But the thing is, he made AI, and I think he's wonderful in that movie. But he could never escape them being like, that's the creepy kid. Like that's
Yeah.
solidified. Like, oh,
Right.
that's the kid who's really good at playing creepy weirdos.
Yeah.
And
And
then
you can't do that when you're 15. Like you
no,
need-
and then when
No.
he hit adolescence and he made Secondhand Lions, isn't Michael Caine in that?
Yeah.
So they
Oh,
eventually
see, it worked out.
And he handed him the Oscar under the table.
once his voice is
Lunch one day.
cracking, it's like, oh dear,
Yeah.
no, thank
Yeah.
you, put him away, put
Yeah,
him away. We don't want to
boys.
look at him.
Boys don't do it.
Boys, it's tough.
I'm like, I guess Mickey Rooney had a very long career. So
Yeah.
There's definitely like Tyler James Williams, who is an actor I really like,
Yes.
who was on Everybody Hates Chris, was
Right.
an adorable kid, and now he was in like Dear White People.
Yeah.
He's on The Walking Dead. You know, like he's
But
finding
I mean,
an
there's
adult
like
career.
Jason Bateman, I guess.
Sure,
but he
even-
was a teenager.
I just saw him in Night of Cups this morning, Christian Bale.
Really?
Oh
Christian
yeah,
Bale.
I always
Christian
forget.
Bale.
Oh,
about
yeah.
Christian Bale.
But you know what? I'd
Newsies.
argue a thing with those guys.
Although in Newsies he's like, I'm fucking Christian Bale. You know,
Yeah.
he's
Wasn't
already
he like 13 by the time he
But
made?
he's in Empire of the
Yeah,
Sun.
but how old was he in that?
pretty young, I think.
Okay.
I would argue that all those examples that were just cited, though, were guys who were kind of simmering for a while. They didn't
Yeah,
have
right,
the
right.
huge
They didn't
thing
have
when
the
they were
Sixth
young.
Sense breakout on them.
You know?
like that.
And if
Yeah.
anything, their biggest things were their biggest failures.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, Christian
Like-
Bale didn't really hit again until he was a grown-up in American Psycho.
And Empire of the Sun was the least successful Spielberg movie. You know, it was a big deal that he was the kid in a Spielberg
1941.
movie.
Yeah.
Did that do less? I financially, I think Empire of
Dude,
the Sun.
we
I'm
have
talking
to
financially.
fucking get
okay.
on the success.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Haley Joel Osment's incredible. The performance by Trevor Morgan feels like sort of a meta commentary on like what most kid performances
Sure,
are like to make
sure.
him look better.
Oh.
I also wonder if, because I don't know if
That
he
was
could
your
have,
point from 20 minutes
yes,
ago. Yeah.
I don't know if he could have known that he was going to get such a transcendent performance out of a kid. I also wonder if it was
according to Ben's printout, when he saw Haley Joel Osment, he said, I have to cast this kid. I'm not. Here
Yeah,
it is.
okay.
Like, he was just, he said, like, he wasn't sure if he wanted to make the movie if Osment wasn't in it.
Yeah, you need a kid that good. And I found it interesting that he wrote a part that was a shitty child actor who takes himself very seriously with
Sure.
the parents and everything.
Maybe he hated Joseph Cross.
That's what I was wondering, because he just made a movie with kids, you know?
I don't know. Maybe he did. Or another Wide Awake
Making
kid.
2 movies or 3 movies back to back with kids. That's
Yeah.
a
And, you know,
whole
Spencer
load.
Treat Clark is in Unbreakable with a big
Excellent.
part. And then in
And then,
Signs, you got Rory Culkin and,
And
Abigail Breslin.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking Dakota Fanning. Yeah.
And The Village is the first one where it's not really, you don't have like a haunted child somewhere in the middle
But he
of the
works
story.
with kids a lot. There's
Yeah.
kids in The Last Airbender. There's kids in The Happening. And then he made The Visit, which is like a kid movie.
Yeah. It
we're
was the big
gonna
thing with
get
these
to.
kids who are more sort of emotionally vulnerable than the adults around them, you know, are sensing something, no pun intended, you know, but are
There's-
like,
yeah, all right.
yeah.
Let's move on, though.
So Bruce Willis. Let's
Sure,
talk about
let's
Bruce
talk
Willis.
about Brucey.
Okay. Yeah, Bruce Willis, I feel like we're not giving enough credit even now for being like we're talking about how he wasn't engaged for like the last 10 years of movies he's
Right,
made. He's
right.
very engaged in
Very
this.
engaged in
He
this.
is. It's a very thought through performance. And like, this is such a haunted movie.
Mhm.
Like, the whole movie, once you realize, like, it is this weird movie that's like caught in stasis, right?
Yes.
Like, Bruce Willis is kind of just wandering into places
Yeah.
and sort of sitting down and no one's interacting with him. And
Right.
of course, like, you're like,
And
well,
you're not supposed to notice.
you're supposed to think like, oh, this is
part of my gripes.
This is a
okay,
guy.
we might have the same gripe
like
that we can
ghost
get to.
logic.
Ben's gripe corner.
I the whole time I was so distracted by ghost logic.
All right, so what's your ghost logic gripe?
Well, just that point right there. When he goes to the house and he's sitting with the mother.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't he kind of like realize she never greeted him?
Well,
made eye contact
Haley
with
Joel
him,
Osment says
talked to
in the
him.
big I See Dead People monologue, he says, like, they don't realize they're dead. He says that. Like, they don't know they're dead.
And the other thing he said is they see what they want to see.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's the recurring thing where he keeps on trying to open
the door.
to
Anything he
the
touches
cellar.
is red.
And
There's
then-
this
yes.
red motif through the movie.
I couldn't figure out if it's anything he touches or if it's just
It's
things.
a
Or,
go-
like, 'cause
red-
the balloon that
Yeah,
leads him
red
up to the
shows
cabinet.
ghosts. There are ghosts
Yeah.
Red is
around
like,
when red
like the
happens,
other
yeah.
side, I guess,
Yes.
is being interacted
Yeah,
or
with.
the
being
tent.
cold.
The tent. Yeah,
Yeah, being
Yeah,
cold.
or
being
showing
cold.
them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which he does a good job of establishing the visual language like that. So you
Very slowly
You know,
and- yeah.
Yes, you start to anticipate. You get scared before the thing even happens.
But there were moments where I was like, who can see who? What is happening?
Haley can see Bruce.
Yeah.
Bruce can't see any other ghosts. That's crucial.
Yeah.
Right.
The ghosts
Which he
can't see each
says
other.
they can't see each
Yeah.
other.
But when he goes, later in the film, when they're helping out that little girl,
Misha
the
Barton.
barfing girl.
Yeah.
Misha Barton.
So it's like he can't see
No.
her.
He can't, no,
but
Bruce
then,
Willis can't see her.
But he's hanging out, but he doesn't know that he's a ghost. It gets
Because
really complicated.
Bruce Willis's whole haunting, like, so ghosts, right? The idea, I think, is you're
It's the
kind of
Casper
caught.
concept. You have unfulfilled business.
Yeah.
Unfinished
You're
business.
caught
Yeah.
in your old business too. So
Right.
Bruce Willis, he's haunted by the fact that he failed this kid played by Donnie Wahlberg
Right.
in the first scene of the movie who shoots
Also
him.
great in that one scene.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
brave performance.
I was really ready to be like, oh, whatever. It's just a lot of like making noises, but like it's great.
It's
pretty good.
very
And it's really
nuanced.
scary.
yeah,
For
it's
someone
really scary.
He's
Yeah.
playing a big guy, but he's actually doing it in a very specific, detailed way.
Yeah.
Not hamming it up. Yeah.
Wait, where's Donnie Wahlberg?
He's
Donnie
the
Wahlberg's
guy
the kid who
breaks into-
shoots them at the beginning.
No, shut
That's
up.
Donnie
he looks
fucking
like
Wahlberg.
shit.
That's so weird.
And this is like Donnie Wahlberg. New Kids on the Block is over.
Yeah.
He's got nothing
and
going.
Nothing.
Mark is like
Mark
taken
is taken
off.
on. You know,
Yeah.
Mark is the huge thing.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so he's haunted by that professional failure, and of
Right.
course he's haunted by, he's haunting his wife,
What seems
like in this weird
yes.
sort of way where she can't let him go. I guess.
Well,
It
so-
seems like every ghost is trying to
Katie
right
made a
the
face.
wrong of their death.
Well, because I think the thing where Ben and I overlap is that it doesn't make any sense that Bruce Willis doesn't know he's dead. I know they see what they want to see and they can't
Sure.
say things, but
Yeah.
every interaction with Olivia Williams, especially, like I
She's
think
not
she,
talking to
Listen,
him.
Yeah.
I think she gets really sold out by it. Like she's Olivia Williams, she's amazing, but
Great
I
actress.
think she doesn't have room to do enough because her character can't make any sense.
I agree.
I know it's a tough role for Olivia Williams
Yeah.
because she's literally not able to look at him.
Yeah.
like
Okay.
Bruce Willis not once ate, drank, or pooped.
Yeah, because he's a ghost.
Ghosts don't
He's a
do
ghost.
that. You think you would have figured it out?
But no, this thing he keeps on saying of they see what they want to see. The thing with the cellar, he keeps on trying to open the door, he can't get it, and then
he
the
can't
last
even-
shot.
That's interesting that he can't even literally see a piece of furniture.
Right, there's a piece of furniture she's put in front of it.
right.
So it's like they're so single-minded in their goals of what they're trying to do. What are the two things he needs to do that haunt him in his death, right? He feels he failed this kid.
Sure.
So he needs to correct that wrong in the same way Misha Barton has to get the dad to see the tape.
Yep.
You know? And
we
he-
got to talk about that whole
Oh my
sequence because that's like the movie's set piece.
Yes.
The whole Misha Barton.
Yeah.
Thing. But
and,
we'll
and
get to that.
the lingering feeling that he failed his wife to some degree. You know, that he left her, that he abandoned her. And so,
yeah, or that he like his work consumed him,
Right.
and that was what of course led to his death.
right. And so he thinks he's dealing with this as an active relationship, but really he needs to help her come to some sort of sense of closure with him. In the same way he needs to help another kid,
Yeah.
In
But
the way
also
that
the
he
kid
failed.
needs to help him. That's the kid's like salvation
Yes.
is helping these ghosts rather than being scared by them.
Now, the movie's divisive because it has to set up these shots and frame these things. I mean, the blocking in the film is pretty incredible because
It's
if you
all
watch
very,
it with
very
the eye,
specific.
Yeah.
Yes.
The shot of him sitting in the room with Toni Collette is so ingenious.
Right.
in that it makes you think, it makes you assume all of these things. It uses movie logic. It uses you putting
Yes.
together what
Like,
you haven't
they've
seen.
already had a conversation.
Exactly. Because
Right.
you know
yeah.
how movies work with editing, that you're not seeing everything play out in that way. But
Right.
the logic that really bugged me, how does he know all the shit that's happening? How does he know that Haley Joel Osment got in trouble in school? How does he know to keep
That's
showing
all
up
fair.
places?
That's all fair. I agree
You
with
just
that.
kind of
That's my
have to
biggest-
roll with that.
Yeah, you
because
do.
It's true.
And it's
Yeah.
fine. And I still like
No,
the
yeah.
movie, but I did keep thinking, like, wait,
Because
who's telling him
I
this?
do love the idea that the first time he sees Haley Joel Osment is like in the church where he's playing with the little toys.
Love that scene.
Great scene.
Yeah.
Good
And-
merchandise.
It's called improv.
And Haley Joel Osment, especially when you're watching it in recognition of the twist, is like
Yeah.
is treating him like, oh, here's another one of these.
Yeah.
fucking
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like they won't leave me alone. You
Well,
know, that's why he's so standoffish. But of course, you're just like, oh, kids don't like to talk to shrinks. Like
Uh-huh.
that's all it is.
The real reason, I think, A, this movie put Shyamalan on the map in such a big way, and B, the movie did so well, was I very distinctly remember it being a movie that everyone needed to see 2 times. Like, even if you didn't
you
like
just wanted
it,
to see it again to see, like, oh, he's wearing the same clothes the whole time.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
all
the
stuff.
things.
Which I didn't even notice until the very end of this time.
So good.
And I've seen it
and then you
of
realize,
times.
like, right, of course, he's, like, bleeding, like, from the back of his back.
but in your memory, you go like, no, but I saw him talking to the mom. And it's like, no, you didn't. You
didn't.
saw him
Yeah.
sitting in the room with the mom.
Yeah.
Logically, I think the film's asking us to believe that, like, he as a ghost just appears the second right before Haley Joel Osment walks in the door, you know? That the mom's not sitting there in silence for a long time.
And he kind of puts it together the way that we do in our head, being
Right.
like, oh, no, I had that conversation with her.
Right.
Because you
It's
don't
like
see
the
him
middle
really
of a
traveling
dream,
to
right.
places. I think he's
No,
just
you don't.
showing
He
up
just
where
walks
he needs to
around.
show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, I think the toughest scene is the restaurant scene where he's with Olivia Williams.
Yeah.
And he's giving this whole monologue of, like, I'm sorry my work is so consuming, and, like, I
Yeah.
just really want to help this kid. And she won't look at him. She won't talk. And then she just, like, signs the check, like,
Yeah.
takes the check, which is great
Yeah.
because he reaches for it.
Yeah.
Signs and says, like, happy anniversary.
But even, like, God, fucking
It's
a little
tough,
touch. It's
but
tough.
they do it well.
A little touch that's so smart in that scene, because I kept on looking for, like, okay, I haven't seen this movie. I probably saw it 3 times when it came out. I haven't seen it since then. I want to fucking catch him. Like, I want to catch a little thing
Yeah.
that he fucked up on. And I looked even in that dinner scene, and I was like, what are they going to do about the chair? How do they deal with the chair? And the chair is just pulled out enough
For him to slide into it.
that he puts his hand on it like he's going to pull it out, and then just sits on top of it. And it's like,
Wow.
oh, shit, he never moves the stuff around him.
That I did not
I noticed
notice.
that too.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis never moves anything.
But he
It's
has
always-
papers. Like, he's holding papers that
They're
he
like
He
ghost
has,
papers.
but they're
Okay.
and the
his.
dictionary
Yeah,
in the
they're ghost-
basement.
Right. They're all his.
Yeah.
They're all his
Yes.
business.
He's
but
not
yes.
moving anything that anyone else interacts with.
Right.
But
right,
I
right.
also think, I mean, they're
I mean, of
asking
course, he
you
does
to-
like sit on chairs. It'd be funny if he like fell through a chair. Oopsie, I'm a ghost.
they're asking you to put this together, but I think the reason you're supposed to believe that Olivia Williams put the table in front of the cellar door is because she kept on going into the cellar and seeing all the shit splayed out.
Right.
You know? Being
Yeah.
like, someone's fucking, something's going on in the
Because,
cellar.
and it's foreshadowed with that scene, right? The first shot of the movie where she goes to get the bottle of wine and like the cellar
The draft.
creeps her out
Yes.
because cellars are creepy.
Yeah. And there's
And,
the wind, she gets
I
cold.
don't
she
know. I don't know
puts
if
the
you have a
shawl on.
cellar. You have a, you know, I
I have
have
a basement.
I
I
have
mean-
a cellar. It is the scariest fucking thing in
really?
the world, and I have to go down there all the time.
Now,
It sucks.
I agree with you, Katie. that
Katie's
the
making a very
one,
silly-
This is a personal story, so this is a corner.
the one logic thing that sort of like was a hiccup for me is how, in his mind, did he get assigned this case?
Yeah.
How did he know this kid? This
But
wasn't a kid
that's
he knew
how
in his
Haley
real
Joel
life.
Osment works. The ghosts come to him. Like
Sure.
Misha Barton, as he says, like she came a long way to see me.
Yeah,
But the
sure.
papers, the information, like
I thought he had an appointment with Haley Joel Osment.
well,
No, he says that. He
speaks-
says,
He says,
we
like, I
missed
missed our appointment.
But
Yeah.
I mean, Haley Joel Osment's probably just like,
Oh,
you
I
and
thought he was
you
like
and the
the old
Civil
client
War
or
general
something.
who just like
Yeah,
came
I kind
through
of
here.
wondered
Right.
if it was like someone he'd had before he died, but I think it does
Yeah.
make more sense that he's telling himself these stories, kind of what we're doing for ourselves now, like piecing it together.
Because like the kid with the shotgun wound in the back of his
Ugh.
head
That
is
one's
like, hey,
rough.
you want to see my dad's gun? He's not like, oh, hey, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
he
he's
sort
not
of
like-
acts like this is already his friend who he would have
Yeah.
shown
Well,
the
and,
shotgun
and
to.
Misha Barton's line is, "I'm feeling much better now," which is
Right.
like her. It's good.
You wanna talk about
Good
Misha
stuff,
Barton?
guy. Let's talk about
I think
Misha
we have to talk
Barton.
about Bruce a little more.
Oh, he's great.
I do-
I mean,
yeah.
it's just
I want to point out this thing that Katie said, because the one logic hiccup for me is with the papers and everything.
Mhm.
It does feel a little bit to me like, not explicitly, but this is also coming a week after watching Wide Awake, where the twist ending is the kid's trying to speak to his dead grandfather, and so he
please do
he
not
misses his
explain
dead
the twist of Wide Awake
grandfather.
again.
I'm gonna say this very quickly. He misses his dead grandfather, so he's like, I'm gonna find God, and the whole movie he's looking for God in whatever form. And there's this little cherubic blonde boy who keeps on walking around. At the end of the
and his
movie, he's
grandfather?
like, he's happy, and it's an angel from heaven who's come down to tell him that his dad.
Got it.
It's
And
fucking
he realizes
ridiculous.
God exists, and the kid disappears
Okay,
into a
carry
beam of
on.
light.
Okay.
My point is, especially coming right after this movie, it does feel a little bit like, oh, did God assign him this case? Like, did he get God papers? Not that God literally was like, hey, Dr.
Well,
Malcolm.
He makes movies about religion and spirituality and death, and
Yeah,
this
does
is
feel
kind of
like-
one of those movies. It's just
Yeah.
more of a genre version of that, rather than Wide
Yes.
Awake, which is like actually about a kid like talking to priests all day, and
Yeah.
you're like, this kid's a weirdo. Can't he just go outside?
Bruce Willis's performance is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's very reactive. It's very
Right.
quiet.
Right.
Mhm.
It's very tempered down.
And I think that because he can be a lazy and disconnected actor,
Uh-huh.
people kind of think like, oh, well, that's not his movie. But I think he is making a lot of choices in this movie. It's not like I don't know, what's a bad Bruce Willis movie? Last Man Standing.
Yeah.
You know?
A Good Day to Die Hard.
Sure.
Cop out.
Cop out. Where
Yeah.
he's just like, what are the lines? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
But it is, you know,
go ahead.
well, it's interesting because I think this is one of those performances that really like serves as an interesting case study in what a movie star is and what the power of a movie star is. Because it's like, okay, he's not the first guy you would hire to play a child psychologist. That's not like within his obvious wheelhouse, you know?
That's fair, right?
He's like
he just was an oil driller who blew up a meteor,
right?
Right.
And like quiet, thoughtful listening. Like, wasn't the Bruce Willis?
Not
like,
really.
Not his
at that
brand.
point.
Like I would say his last great performance had been 12 Monkeys, which is a very acty performance. A lot of twitching and mumbling. I think it's a great performance and crying. But, not a subdued performance.
He often wasn't playing intellectual.
No.
And there's some scenes in this movie where you go like, okay, this is a little outside of his comfort zone.
And he's got this absurd hairpiece in this movie that is like, and this is prime like Bruce Willis is a bald dude like era.
So I watched it again in high def last night.
Oh, wow.
And I know people always talk about the hairpiece. This is my theory, just to very quickly throw out. I think it's his real hair with a tremendous amount of dye in it. And when I say dye, I mean like painting his scalp to make it look like there's more.
Sure, it's like
I think it's his strands, and then they've painted like a hairline
it looks
onto
bad.
it. Oh, it looks terrible. I agree. But for years, I thought it was a piece, and now I think it is a paint job. Anyway, back to Bruce Willis.
Oh boy,
Bruce Willis hair truth.
The thing is, though, you go like there are actors who would be a better fit for this role as a performance, but would have hurt the film overall because it's such, in a way, a passive character, He's such a reactive character. He's so quiet. He's so coiled that if someone was playing it too intellectually, it might be hard to engage with it. And you have this guy, Bruce Willis, who's just like, even when he's bad, he's fucking engaging to watch. Mm-hmm. He's just got a good head that looks good in a frame, He's got a good energy.
Sure,
like, even when he's tired, you're like, fucking, you get angry at lazy Bruce Willis performances because he's so naturally engaging that it feels wasteful for him to do nothing other than show up.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have to do that much more.
Right.
And it is crazy how he's such a fucking charming performer when he wants to be.
But he's turning down the charm in this one.
No, I know.
Which
Obviously,
this
isn't the movie for that.
So
but,
the point is, I think is interesting is he's so naturally charming that even though he's playing someone who isn't charming, he's tempering that down. It comes out enough to keep you engaged in the movie, to use him as a surrogate, to watch these other characters and how they interact.
Sure.
And I think the film, even though it's not necessarily like a great performance, he didn't get an Oscar nomination that year. He was sort of like underrated for it.
Yeah.
He's sort of the key to the movie working. Toni Collette's the key to like the movie
She's
working.
the key to the emotional part of it, for sure.
But I think Bruce Willis is the key to the film functioning with an audience.
It's a tough year.
Yes.
He was never going to get an Oscar.
He was never going to get it.
That's a really that's a loaded year.
Okay. Next topic we're going to talk about.
Well, so the movie is like 50 minutes of build up. Yeah. Then there's this revelation from Haley Joel Osment, which it turns on.
It's crazy to me that I See Dead People was in the ads
I know.
from the very beginning,
and
that no one got
back.
impatient.
I know.
That you're watching it being like, that he sees dead people,
right.
but yet you're kind of like, oh, how am I going to figure this out on my own?
And
anyway?
also, I think it's because the movie has its fun sort of internal logic, which you enjoy watching like slowly build, where it's like, oh, what can they do? What are they doing? What are they doing?
Yeah.
But you also feel like you're in the hands of a master. I mean, it's the what are they doing? I know that sounds insane, but like the what are they doing? Where is this going thing? Comes from like, I think audience can tell when a movie is being made by someone who's so confident in, this is what I'm saying, this is how I'm saying it, just trust me, stick with it. They don't get impatient because they can tell it's going somewhere, building to something.
Even there was that moment where she's looking at the photos.
Oh yeah, and there's the little like
there's the little like
light.
flashes of light.
Yeah,
it's like I think little subtle moments like that, like building up to it. That
also
like,
because
keeps me engaged.
Yeah, because you're like, I know,
yeah.
And that scene's scary because you keep being like, is something going to be behind her? Is she going to see something scary? Is this going to be a jump movie where like, suddenly, because she's like leaning way into the photos, and like classic horror movie is like you're not watching your angles,
or
here.
like a face would show up in the flash of light or something. Yeah,
I mean that is like a Blumhouse thing. Would just be like a, suddenly.
But he builds such an incredible atmosphere in this movie. Between the photography, between the performances,
huge,
the framing, the score. James Newton Howard's score is
very
really
nice
great.
Score. Very nice.
So
score.
you go into every scene. Every scene I would argue is dramatically engaging on its own. There's an interesting sort of psychological tension or performance thing or character detail, even when there's not a ghost. There's new information being revealed, and it's actually like an engaging scene to watch.
You've got these two relationships at the center, Haley Joel Osment and his mom, and then Bruce Willis, that you want to see succeed. You want to like watch those relationships repair or build or something. So you're following that as the ghost story is going on parallel.
Right. It works as like a character story just as well as it works as a ghost story, but they also, you go like any scene could be a ghost scene. So you're just scared the whole movie.
Yeah, you're scared the whole movie.
Yeah.
But as I was just laying out,
Yes.
so then there's this revelation, and then you start seeing the ghosts,
Mhm.
and there's lots of crazy, like as we said, the kid with who's blew half
Oh,
his
the
head off.
mom in the kitchen.
The mom in the kitchen.
Oh, that he thinks is his mom. It's so scary.
That's a really scary scene,
Yeah.
and it's also not played as like a simple jump. Like you know,
No.
there's no like shrieking violin or whatever.
Yeah.
They do the thing with the thermostat going down
The
while he's
thermostat's
peeing.
really good.
And I remember
Oh,
going to
right,
the back
yeah.
room shortly after that in the movie and being terrified. Like
Oh,
standing
yeah.
at
That
the
movie that
urinal
follows.
peeing and being terrified, wanting to run back upstairs.
There's the hanging people in the school.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
But anyway, I mean, then the movie has one set piece, which is him solving this murder mystery almost about the Misha Barton ghost.
Bruce Willis suggests that maybe
You should help them.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
You should
not trying to
interact with
scare
these
you.
ghosts.
Interact with
Yeah.
them, see what they're there for. They must be talking to you for a reason.
And then, of course, the next ghost he meets is a little girl in a
Who's-
dress who's played by Misha Barton.
And she and
Her best performance, career best
And
performance.
she
right?
throws up a lot. Seems
Yeah.
like she throws
A
up a
It's
lot.
also
Pukey.
A lot.
there's a weird logic because I always assumed that his tent was some sort of safe space he created, but she
Uh-huh.
somehow invades it.
Well, the tent's also red.
The tent is red, so
Yeah.
so she invades it, and she's got like vomit just sort of drooling out of her mouth.
Ugh.
It's a tough, and it's like a jump, like it's scary.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a
And it's
she's
another.
in the tent. It's another one of those things where like
he
you
uses
don't,
spatial geography
yeah,
well.
like you don't know how that's possible.
You see
Right.
the corner of the
you
tent.
see
She's
like
not there. The camera
clothespins
tilts
kind of
up.
come off,
Yeah.
and it opens
And then when
up.
it goes back down, she's in the spot that was previously empty.
Yeah,
But
so
he does it all with camera moves, you know?
Mhm.
and then and like what I like about the movie is it does not go anywhere into explaining like how this works. Does he talk to her and say like, "Hey, where do you live?" You
No,
know?
no, no.
Or like, "What's your?" We just
Why are you
they-
puking all the time?
Yeah, he just gets on a bus. It's like it's a spiritual thing. He's just sort of guided to her funeral.
I think he says like, "Do you have something you want to talk about?" or
Right.
something.
He gives her like an
All
opportunity
you need to
talk.
know is that he doesn't run, that he
Right,
doesn't
right.
scream,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he
yeah.
sits there with her and tries to engage with
Yep.
her. And you see that emotional shift in him. And then, cuts to the bus.
And so then you're on the bus, and then you're at the funeral, and then there's this this is the thing. It's like you think the movie has this not fake out, but the characters might assume Toni Collette is like hurting her kid, and of course
Right.
then turns out the twist is for this kid is that she was getting hurt. It's a what do you call it, Munchausen by proxy.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
the mom was keeping her sick.
Yeah.
Which is like just a fucked up thing that like once in a while happens. I
Right.
guess it's just like a crazy like postpartum
But it
thing.
happens.
Yes, it does happen.
For whatever reason, I remember seeing it at the time thinking it was his stepmom, but there's nothing to imply
No,
that in
it's
the
No,
just
film,
the
she's
right?
the
mother.
mom.
I had
mean,
always
it's-
remembered it being the stepmom
It's
for some
like
reason.
no, and I'll say like Shyamalan, like I said before, this movie is haunted. Like this movie, there's a sort of weird glacial quality. How everyone the father like looks at the mother and she just sort of turns around silently, and everyone's just sort of staring. And like this is a problem in his future movies. We'll get to it. Where like sometimes I think he has trouble with like the simple like humans talking
Like
to each
act
other.
like a
problem.
person.
Yeah.
because the dad is watching that tape in the middle of like a wake.
It's
Like,
completely bizarre.
Yeah.
And like the tape is in a box, like, and of course
Mhm.
there's that jump with the box, like, her hand coming
Yeah.
out.
But isn't it fascinating that if the thing he struggles with the most is basic human conversation,
Right.
he made a movie about people who can't really talk to each other?
No, that's why it works. I mean,
Like,
and this
by
is why
design,
he's
it's
such
a
a
film
good
about
sequel to George
incommunication.
Lucas
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's also George Lucas's biggest problem.
Right.
But anyway, what's crazy is then, and I was talking to this about with Birthday Benny, is like you would think maybe because the movie is not even 2 hours long. It's like an hour and 45,
It's
50 minutes.
47 with 5 minutes of credits. It's 142.
So you'd
It's
think
tight.
there would be like a few of these.
Yeah.
He would like start, and it's like it's that, and then he talks to his mom in the car about her mom.
But first he does the school play.
He does the school
And he has his
play.
last conversation with Bruce Willis.
And my favorite moment in the entire film
and Trevor
is
Howard gets upstage.
He gets on stage. You hear three claps in the
Morgan.
background. Trevor Morgan.
Yeah.
You hear three claps in the background. And it's like, oh, this is the kid from the cough syrup commercial. And then he like can't even commit to the performance because he hates that he has a one-line
like,
character.
why is he the village idiot? Why has it worked out? We don't know. It just
Yeah, but it's
everything's
just-
coming up Haley
And
Joel
it's,
Osment.
it's one of those things we think maybe the school like is like, hey, why don't we give
Yeah.
Haley Joel Osment seems like he's in a bad spot. Why don't we give him the lead in the play?
Yeah.
Come on, you're already in a cough commercial.
Yeah.
Oh, it made me think. We passed this a while back. I just want to say I really enjoyed the part where he because there's the stuttering teacher that gets him the part when he gives
Oh,
the
that's
stuttering
such a
teacher.
scary
teacher.
team.
It's so
Yeah.
scary and
Yeah.
fucked up
Yeah.
and great. Like an adult that's intimidated by this little kid, and it's like I totally believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's also why it's more realistic than Wide Awake, because all the adults in Wide Awake
Stop
could be
fucking
like,
bringing up
No,
Wide
'cause
Awake.
the adults would be like, shut the fuck up, kid.
No, of course,
and in
it's
Wide
true.
Awake, they're all charmed
No,
by
but
him.
and why? No, except for Dennis Leary, who is like, why have I given birth to you? Except he didn't give birth to me. Why did I create
No, what
you?
he's really doing is, why did I sign on to this movie?
Anyway, So, but it's like it wraps fast. Like there's
Yeah.
that scene, and then there's the scene with his mom, which is wonderfully
Oh my
acted.
God. That's
which
her
I believe
linchpin
was
scene.
her Oscar clip.
Had to
That's her
be.
Oscar. Clip.
And
Yeah.
like,
and
it's
like
just,
it's classic Oscar clip, but it's also so great.
it's
I'm
so
getting
well
a little
done.
choked up even thinking about it
I
right
know.
now.
I
She
know.
really
I
just
know.
destroyed
Because she's
it.
the way
like-
she says like what
Yeah.
her question was is like,
Yeah.
do I make you proud? It's so good.
Yeah. And her handwork.
I
She's doing a
know.
little bit of the Linda Richmond, like the acrylic nails and the hand
She's
on
a
the
little
breast.
verklempt.
But it's like it's so subtly done. Comedian John Early. I don't know if you guys know John Early, but he's a great comedian in New York City.
Yeah.
He often ends or middles his stand-up sets with talking about how angry he is that Toni Collette didn't win Best Supporting Actress.
She lost to.
1999.
Ooh.
It's a real weird one.
Marcia Gay Harden for
Nope.
Pollock.
That's the next
Oh.
year,
Shit.
and she's a lead in that
Angelina
movie.
Jolie for Girl Interrupted.
Ah, yeah.
Bingo.
This is why I always try to go through what was nominated for Best Picture and then always get
Who
felled.
I actually like in the film, although I think it's a very sort of showy movie star performance. But the other nominees were Toni Collette, Catherine Keener, and Being Jay Malkovich, who was crazy good.
Yeah.
Samantha Morton in Sweet and Lowdown, and Chloe Sevigny in Boys Don't Cry. Like
That's a
every
great
other one of
year.
them could have won that Oscar.
That's
Yes.
a solid
True.
lineup.
Really good year.
True.
And there's probably some other ones like that was just a hot year, baby.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I mean, Melora Walters, I would have nominated for Magnolia that year. I
She's
would have
good
put
in
her
Magnolia. I mean,
I really like
it's
that
a bit.
performance.
I mean, at least you're not saying Julianne Moore in Magnolia, like her worst performance.
Yeah, which is
Did you
know.
see Freeheld?
I didn't see Freehold actually. On your advice.
So let's. I mean, we've talked about the twist, but let's talk about the impact of the twist and everything.
Right, and then the last 3 minutes are just
Right.
the twist.
Yeah.
And
Which-
it is so artfully
And
done.
he puts it together on the tiniest thing, which I'd totally forgotten, which is just that she has his wedding ring. And he hasn't noticed the whole
God, that's-
time.
I
And
totally
we
forgot that
haven't
too.
noticed that
It's
he's
a
not wearing his
gorgeous
wedding
moment.
ring.
and
Yeah.
guys, it really gets me when she says, "I miss you."
Yeah.
Well, Haley
I
Joel
love- I
Osment.
love that
Yeah, he
scene.
says the thing of like, I have an idea. You should talk to her while she's
while
asleep.
she's sleeping.
Which rewatching the scene now, it's so brilliant because it's him knowing that Bruce Willis is a ghost
Yeah.
and being like, I don't want to spoil it for him.
Well, it's very
I'm just
clear,
gonna-
like
yeah.
Because he wouldn't, Bruce Willis wouldn't buy it if Haley Joel Osment
it's
told him
obvious
Right.
that Haley Joel Osment has figured out that he can't just say to the ghost, like, "You are a ghost."
Go
Like
away.
that doesn't work for some reason.
Yeah.
So he's got to be like engaged with him on a human level.
Right.
So he says, "Right, talk to her while she's sleeping. Then she'll hear you, even if she can't hear you."
Yeah.
You know, like guys.
Yeah.
Guys, it gets
It's a good
me.
scene.
She's just trying to get over him.
Yeah.
You know, she's just trying to get with Glenn Fitzgerald or whoever it is who plays
Yeah.
the what does he call him? He calls him like Dickweed or I forget what.
Cheese dick or
Cheese
something?
dick,
He calls
that's
him
it.
cheese dick.
Keep moving, cheese dick.
He seems like a good sort. I hope she's happy with him now.
Yeah. I
do
Dealing
too.
antiques
I
in
do too.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Now, this is, I mean, you know, it's the blessing and the curse of the rest of Shyamalan's career is that rarely is there a movie with a twist this effective, right?
Well, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, The Usual Suspects had come out 4 years before, which is a similar movie that like builds its twist case the whole time.
Yeah.
And then like unleashes it in like a quick montage, and you're like melting
Yeah.
like when you watch it. But go ahead.
No, I think Birthday
Two
Benny's got
twists,
something to say.
I mean, I don't know. Me personally, I thought of some like better endings.
Oh,
or,
great.
like,
Okay,
even
here-
like
Better twist
epilogues.
endings?
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt
Shoot.
like it didn't do what I wanted it
What do
to.
you want?
Now, Katie, I know you're a listener of the podcast. Ben has previously come up with Star Wars characters. He constantly thinks he can do better than the filmmakers that we're studying. So
this.
this is Ben's
Wow,
twist
he's
corner.
got a legal pad that is
He
like
does.
it's like the legal pad where Haley Joel Osment wrote like "kill, fuck."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shut the
it's all-
baby up.
It's all red ink. The thermostat just went down in the room. Ben's about to read his twist corner. Here's Ben's
All right,
twist corner.
Shoot.
Okay, so Bruce Willis, right? You have the blackout open up on this epilogue, right? It's
Yeah.
him in the future haunting a family.
So it's just he can't leave that house.
Wait, but his business is finished. Like the whole thing is that he got closure.
Not in this.
So this is a double twist.
This is
that
a
he-
double twist. It actually turns
Oh.
back to the
So all
horror
the
thing.
What it
emotional
really was
catharsis.
that he had left like the iron on. He just needs to turn the iron off or whatever.
turns back to the horror thing. Okay, that's twist one.
Okay, Bruce puts on sunglasses and music plays. He just does like a 2-camera like nod.
That'd be fine.
He's about to be a badass angel in
But
heaven.
that's the twist is that he's cool.
He's
Okay.
not cool
All
in
right,
the
all right.
movie.
They're
so
not
it'd be
all
a big
great.
twist.
They're not all
not,
great.
not
Okay.
cool.
Bruce becomes a ghost detective with Haley Joel Osment. They start a new
so
business.
that would be the TV spinoff.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
be Bruce Willis. His career like tanks for some reason, and he like 2 years later he's like, "All right, let's do a Sixth Sense TV show."
Yeah, I'm sure someone at Disney tried to make that.
Or
Oh,
Sixth
yeah.
Sense, the
Seventh
animated
Sense?
series. The new Sixth Sense Adventures.
The Seventh Sense. He's got a nose for crime. All right, go on. Sorry.
The Seventh Sense is justice.
All right.
That's better.
Bruce later goes to eat and realizes he wasn't a ghost the whole time.
Oh.
It was a government conspiracy or an episode of Punk'd.
Oh, and
sure,
Haley Joel
Ashton
Osment
shows
just
up.
punked him this whole time?
Yeah.
That's so far the only one of these that you pitch that's actually a twist. The other ones are just endings.
Yeah, it's true.
I said there were epilogues, possible endings,
Okay,
twists.
that is a
Anything-
twist.
anything
Okay.
else,
Okay,
Ben?
but here I saved the best for last.
Kylo Ben.
2 words.
I love Ben.
Girls' locker room.
Yeah.
That's what you do with a
Terrible.
ghost.
Yeah.
So the twist is he just goes hollow man. He tries to check out some naked ladies.
Yes,
Oh my God.
those are my
Kevin Bacon.
suggestions.
You know, Kevin Bacon famously made Stir of Echoes, which came
Uh-huh.
out the same year, and it got fucked by The Sixth Sense because like it's the same movie. But Stir of Echoes is a good movie.
Never seen it. David Kep?
David Kep movie, yeah.
David Koepp
Before
movie.
David Kep, went off the rails.
Or it's an episode of Punk'd.
You already said that one,
Just
buddy.
think about that.
Just think about it.
I think one of the really important things about this film, because Shyamalan spent the rest of his career chasing this film to one degree or another. I mean, this became, the shadow that loomed large over everything else he did and over the
True.
audience perception.
And over anyone who wanted to make a movie with a twist.
yes.
Yes.
Or a ghost
Or
story
a
for
ghost
that-
movie,
Yeah.
yeah,
Has-
totally.
Has there been a twist movie this effective since Sixth Sense?
I mean, Memento.
Remember Me?
Oh my God.
Well, because I'd argue two
Memento
things.
has a very good twist.
Memento's a great. I don't know if it's not
No.
quite the same.
It's not
though.
quite as calibrated
Right.
to like it doesn't. The movie works all because the movie has another gimmick already.
Yeah, exactly.
Before
Yeah.
the twist.
Yeah, I mean, The Prestige also has a twist.
The Prestige twist sucks, and I
It
think
does
that
suck.
movie's a masterpiece. But the worst thing about The Prestige is where it's like, you never guessed!
Yeah,
and
you're
it's
like,
like,
no,
no,
yeah, I definitely did.
I knew who that guy
Well,
was.
I would love to do a Prestige episode because I
Love The Prestige.
I believe that that's not the twist. I believe that's a fake out twist so you don't realize the real
the
twist.
real twist is
that
the
Hugh
cloning
Jackman's killing
machine.
himself
Yeah.
over and over
Which is a
again.
great twist.
Yeah.
When
That's
you
true.
think
That's
about it longer and longer, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I contend that the audience is supposed to figure out the Christian Bale thing.
Maybe.
That it's obvious
the
on
movie
purpose
is pretty
to
high
distract
on
you.
it, though.
But the Michael Caine speech at the beginning about you look at this hand so you don't notice this hand.
I get
Yeah.
you.
Oh, and it gets to this. I mean, M. Night Shyamalan is a really great magician. This is a magic trick movie. He's
Sure.
making you look at the wrong things in the frame
Yep.
to not notice
Yep.
what's there the entire time. But, and this is the thing that most twist movies fuck up on, the movie actually works as a movie.
Yes.
If you cut the
Yes.
ending with the movie ended with Bruce Willis and Haley Joel Osment going, see you tomorrow,
Yeah.
the film would work.
Yeah.
You'd go, weird they didn't resolve the wife thing, but
Yeah.
the movie would
Absolutely.
work.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah. For the sequel.
It would work as an emotional story. It would feel complete.
Oh no, you need the Toni Collette scene.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. That would be the last
And,
scene.
Yeah, that would be the
That
last
would be
scene.
That would be
great
the last
last
scene.
scene.
Yes.
And you'd be like, I don't know what that Donnie Wahlberg business was at the
Right.
beginning, but whatever. Table setting.
But the thing that happens with most twist movies is either the whole film's constructed towards the twist.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
is they come up with a twist that goes against what the movie's been up until that point, so the thing
Sure.
falls apart. Two is the whole movie's so clearly building up the twist that the rest of it doesn't work.
Yep.
Or once you know the twist, you can't watch it a second time because it has no value.
Like Matchstick Men.
Exactly.
Oh.
That's a
Matchstick
good twist movie where
Matchstick
once
Men.
you've seen it, you're like, fuck that.
Although I haven't seen Remember Me a second time, so maybe it holds up a second
Did
time.
you know the twist?
Oh, I don't think so because I saw it like
Oh,
at a
boy.
junket screening
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Do you know the second time it's Pearl Harbor? If you watch Remember Me a second time, it's Pearl
Yeah,
Harbor
it
instead
changes
of 9/11.
every time. Yeah,
Then
it
it's
keeps
Hurricane
going back
Sandy
in
for
time.
some reason.
But I think this film works.
He's shooting a
On its own.
Benghazi updated version now.
Yes.
It turns out the whole movie took place in Benghazi.
I think two things happened. One is I think the internet made it impossible for a movie to be this twist reliant.
I was just going to say, I feel like if imagining this coming out now, M. Night Shyamalan would be giving like a Q&A being like, well, actually in the scene where he's sitting there with Toni Collette, he's just shown up because that's how, like, he would be over-explaining
Yes.
all of this
Sure.
stuff.
And
Right,
I also
right.
think Twitter would have immediately people going like, "Oh my god, fucking twist, it's crazy," and
Okay.
you'd all go into the movie trying to figure it out.
So my only argument against that is Star Wars.
I was
where
literally
people-
about to say the same thing.
People did a really
People were
good
chill.
job of keeping all those twists. I mean, not really twists, but like
No,
plot
all the
development.
big
sequence- yeah.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one big thing that everyone talked about. That comes at the
Everyone
end.
was
I
chill.
don't want to spoil stories
Yeah.
on this podcast for no reason. Everyone was pretty good about it.
I'm just saying, I think even if someone on Twitter wrote, "Oh my god, you have to see Sixth Sense,
Yeah.
ending is crazy," you'd walk into the theater going like, "What's this fucking ending gonna be?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, of course.
You'd have so many people telling you that through
Mhm.
so many different outlets. Even if, like, at the water cooler, you were like, ending's pretty crazy. You'd be
Yeah.
like, okay, Tony from work told me that.
Oh yeah, but then like every movie blog, mine included, would be telling you to
Right. And,
yeah.
and there would be the piece that you wouldn't click the link on until after you've seen the movie, but it'd be,
Mhm.
like, explaining
Or
the Sixth Sense
you'd
ending.
Yeah,
start
yeah,
reading
yeah.
one of those pieces, and then it would be big, bold, like, now we're going to talk about the ending, and you'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but then you'd be like, oh, the ending. Oh, the ending.
You
You'd be
know
building
there's
up to that
something
would.
whole
you're
time.
avoiding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think that this made audiences so aware of twists in a way.
Yeah.
It was sort of like a watershed moment for twist movies.
And I'll do some, because I bet there are so many junky twist movies that followed this in the next few years. Like movies that were just like, they were just like, you gotta have a twist. Like, the studio
I
just
even remember
like,
that
they love twists right now.
There's that Robert De Niro,
like
Dakota
that
Fanning horror movie, Hide and Go Seek.
Oh, boy.
Where at the end it turns out he's her imaginary friend, right? I mean, it's like almost a direct ripoff of Sixth Sense. But the ending like doesn't click with the rest of the film.
Oh,
Hide and Seek.
Good
Hide and
twist.
Seek.
Shutter Island. That is a
Love
good
the twist of Shutter Island because I think Shutter Island is a fucking masterpiece, personally. Sorry.
Love it.
Great film.
And I think one of the reasons the twist works there, as it does in this and as it does in The Usual Suspects and these, is that you can then watch it a second time and be like, oh, wow. Like, it gives the movie a whole new perspective.
The
Like, these
emotional
guys are all
story.
performing.
Clicks,
And you start to see the seams of it, and, like, you start to see the emotion and what they're trying to do for him. And I love Shutter Island so much. He should have won an Oscar for that movie.
Oh, man.
Apocalypto. Great twist ending.
What happens at the end of Apocalypse?
We slaughtered the Native Americans.
Yeah. Didn't see that coming.
Same twist as Passion of the Christ.
Yeah, Passion of the Christ. Whoa.
I know.
Now this was I would
Dude got crucified.
this was the other thing I was thinking about. Like I was thinking about what effect this has had on twist movies after that. And also this was at the time of its release one of the 10 highest grossing films of all time, which is insane. Yeah, I think it was the 10th highest grossing film of all time at the time of its release, which would never happen today.
No.
I'm not even saying this movie specifically because it feels so austere and adult. Even like for 16, 17 years later.
Never play overseas. I mean, I'm sure I did play well overseas, but like,
but it wouldn't today.
Yeah,
audiences are just not ready to sit down and have to like really engage with something this much that isn't feeding. I
hate
to
be a bummer about this stuff, but it's true.
But it feels like kind of the last of its kind, and I was like,
Primal Fear that has a crazy twist.
Yeah, and then
carry on.
Well, so like all the movies,
looking at some famous twists.
All the movies that were like
Fight
that,
Club.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same year.
But a lot of these other movies were
1999.
No.
A lot of these other movies we're throwing out.
Oh yeah, there's
yes,
similar.
Were not as successful. You know,
for sure.
Sixth Sense was like huge, and the twist like captivated America. As did this performance. Everyone loved Bruce was back. Like all this shit. But I was like, okay, this is a horror movie. It's a thriller. But it also kind of functions as a drama because it doesn't have these sneak scares.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's not super like graphic, other than a few moments. So I was like, what are, in that sort of tone, like truly adult, non-franchise movies, what else has done that well in the last 16 years?
Well, the only other template for this, and this was before, is The Crying Game, which was sold on its twist, but
Another
is a really different kind of movie.
But
yes.
But in terms of being like a humongous like Hall of Fame blockbuster, the only two movies I would throw out that I feel like performed financially in a similar way and became as much of a talking point for like a quote unquote adult movie were Passion of the Christ and American Sniper.
Oh yeah, American Sniper.
And both of them were movies that were politicized.
Oh, and Ted.
Yeah, serious adult dramas. But those films people had to see because there was like a conversation and people wanted to weigh in and either defend it or hate it.
Yep.
With both of those films. I don't think outside of a thing like stirring people into like an argument like that, you could have a film connect this widely with people. Today,
No.
I don't think it would ever happen again.
Well, and just like this, I mean,
You never know, buddy.
You never know.
This kind of adult drama, like that gets some kind of conversation going, is television now. Like this is Breaking Bad.
That's very
now.
true.
Yes.
Like that's the same kind of phenomenon you're talking about.
But this film is a great example for me of the difference between TV and film. And I'm not going to argue that one is better or
Film is
worse than
better.
the other. Film is better. Movies are the best. Movies are the absolute best. I hate
Correct.
TV. But it's like this is the key to this movie is that it's fucking like it's like 102 minutes. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's like tight
It gets
and
in
it's
and
one
out.
story and it does its thing and it gets out.
But of course, it was great job, Katie. It was the millstone. It was the millstone around his neck, as we're gonna see. Like it was the thing he couldn't escape. Where it's like, oh, he's the twist guy, he's the horror guy, and like
right. It became the thing because I don't.
He tries to play into it. He tries to play away from it. He doesn't know what to do with himself.
I don't think he was a thriller guy in his mind. I think he was a guy who wanted to make populist films. I think he wanted to speak to audiences. And I think he probably was like, oh, I'll make this, and next I'll make a musical or whatever.
He's not George Lucas. You're doing the George Lucas voice.
No, because it's like this. It's like more Aziz Ansari.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
Well, but that's no, wait. I just realized that's a coincidence. Because I've been working on my M. Night, and I just realized that's a coincidence, and I imply nothing.
Now that I think about it.
He's got a high voice. He's like kind of like...
he's in this movie.
I know. I got to go back and watch that scene.
He's a little
He's the star of
monotone.
Praying with Anger, which we saw. I didn't tell you that.
Oh,
He's the star of it.
no.
Yeah. He's all right.
I feel
Well, he's
really
bad.
sad for this future of this podcast that you guys are going to like. We talking
gonna
about
be
this
tough.
movie that we all like, and it's going to be like, then you're going to get to, Last Airbender.
You got to do the good one.
I know.
I mean, Unbreakable is great.
Is my favorite.
I'm very looking forward to watching that. I guess
I'm
long
psyched to hear you
time.
talk about The Village.
But this is the big get. We gave this to you because you're a fan. You've supported our podcast.
Yeah.
We had to give back.
You're the greatest,
I'm
Katie.
the blankie who made it to the top.
You're the blankie. You're the top. You're the warmest blankie we got. You got to bundle under that blankie because there are ghosts around. I say.
Oh boy.
I don't think he thought he was a thriller director exclusively.
We'll
I
get
think
to
he
that,
thought he
but
was a filmmaker.
Let's wrap on The Sixth Sense.
The moment the film ends, you know, the final conversation with the wife, he puts it all together.
Yeah.
I'll admit, embarrassingly, I remember seeing this movie and not getting the twist at first.
Good job.
Yeah.
Congrats.
I was like, you know what I thought it was?
Uh-huh.
I thought it was that the whole film was his fantasy of what was happening while he was dying.
It's all a dream.
That happens.
Yeah.
Because it flashes back to him dying.
It does.
Which I was like, okay, that's not like a crazy
no, but then
twist as
then
much.
there's like him being like, my side is still bloody, you know, where he's
That's
like.
why I thought the way it was shot against the wall, I thought it was like he was still dying. I
get
thought that's
you,
what
I
it
get
was.
you. He was like stumbling down
I
the
saw it with my
stairs.
dad. My friend Malou's parents were in the theater at the same time. So afterwards, we I think went out to dinner with them. And she was like, it's weird though, because all the other ghosts look so like, ugh, and like Bruce Willis didn't. And I was like, oh, Bruce Willis is a ghost. Pretend you know that the entire time. And I was like, yes, of course, adults. Like I was like at dinner with 3 adults, and I just
doing
had to
a lot of fronting in front of adults in the late 90s.
I just wanted adults to think I was cool.
What a kid.
But I think that moment that solidifies it is like, you know, he has a final conversation with the wife, which is very emotionally affecting. He puts it all together, the blood and everything. And then it cuts to the final shot, the video of their wedding. And then immediate fade to black.
And then M. Night Shyamalan film.
And it just felt like, fuck, this guy.
Yeah.
And the letters are going like, they're
Right.
like,
Yeah.
you know, getting wider.
And like his name is Minaj, but now it's Night. And you're like, that film was made by a guy whose middle name is Night? How spooky, you know?
And you guys are going to get into the tremendous ego it takes. Not just to
my
do that,
God.
but to make a movie like this. Like,
Right.
I mean, to make
Yeah.
a movie, period, you have to have a huge ego.
True.
Like,
But it feels like an
No, but
immediate
to
mic
brand
drop.
your movie that way.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like a mic drop, and it's also that name is so good,
I know, you're
combined
not
with
gonna
that
forget
genre, that it was like, okay, that's what I'm going to associate M. Night Shyamalan with. Like that name
he's
now.
very much like, pay attention to me. I'm for real.
But it also feels like a Pavlovian response. Like,
Sure.
big twist, you're going to see the name M. Night Shyamalan right after it. And then it starts to come,
Yeah.
if you see the name M. Night Shyamalan, you're going to expect a big twist. Like, the name comes right after. And not directed by, but like an M. Night Shyamalan film. Like, it's him going like, I did this to you. Right? You're still processing the twist. And he doesn't even wait a moment. The name comes in. And you're like, oh, fuck.
Oh, boy.
Performance review. Everyone's really good in this movie.
Yeah, there's no bad performance in this
I
movie.
mean, we
right?
focused on the 3 main performances a lot.
But
Trevor
Olivia
Moore
Williams
again.
is good. We like
Yeah.
Donnie Wahlberg's brief
Like
scene.
Donnie
I think
Wahlberg.
Glenn Fitzgerald looks like a nice man, and Misha Barton like
Misha
barfed
Barton's
up that
good.
stuff great.
The dad, Misha Barton's dad is good.
Yes,
Can
whoever
I,
that is.
Can I throw something crazy out just to tease for the future of
the
this
actor is
podcast?
Greg Wood plays his dad. Go ahead.
I'm
What?
going to throw something crazy out. I was in this movie called Butt Whistle with Trevor Morgan. It was not originally called Butt Whistle, but we live in a terrible industry.
What was it originally called?
A Samaritan, which is an actual name for a movie.
I'm going to IMDb this right now.
A bit of a weak name.
I'm not saying it's a great title, but I'm saying I didn't sign on to a movie called Butt Whistle. I was a struggling actor. I was looking for a reason to quit the Disney store. They offered me $100 to play a cop in a movie called Butt Whistle. I play a cop.
You play a cop?
I play a
That
detective.
movie
Wow.
really needed some wow.
There's
Do you
a
know-
character named Ogden Confer in it.
That's Trevor Morgan's
That's
character.
a person's name.
Do you know?
Is it?
Don't look at
It
this
is
because I don't
now.
want to spoil this yet.
Okay.
I play detective. Guess who my partner is in the film? My detective partner. We're a classic detective team. Guess who my partner is in the film?
I just saw Andrew Tribeca, so I'm going to say a German Shepherd.
You want me to guess?
Yeah.
Philip Baker Hall.
Tom Jane, the Punisher.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So it's a movie where we play
What's
buddy
he doing
cops.
in that movie?
He was not happy to be in that movie. I can tell you that much.
Poor Tom Jane.
He was clearly,
His character's name is Grummish.
yeah. And I think I'm Fenwick,
I haven't
something
gotten
like
to it
that.
yet. There you are, Fenwick.
Yeah. Play a cop. I was 22. I look like I am 13. Got paid $100. They originally promised $200, and then they dripped me out of the second $100, and it was a big conflict.
You got Annalee Tipton. She's taken off.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah.
She's one of like 18 people who I'm like, which one's she again? Like, there's a lot of.
Wait,
those.
I'm trying
Annalee
to make sure-
Ashford, I get confused
Oh,
just name
hang on.
wise.
Which one is the one in Crazy Stupid Love?
Annalee Tipton.
Oh,
it's
okay.
that one.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
What I was going to say is, don't watch that film. It's not good. I give a scene-stealing performance, though. It's the only performance of mine I've ever liked.
I just made that up. I went with it. As great actors do.
I'm now looking at the cast of The Happening just because
Oh.
That is the most random cast.
That is, and I remember how that movie was advertised. We'll talk about it, where it was like The Happening, M. Night Shyamalan, first R-rated movie.
Oh yeah,
they were like really hitting that hard,
and they put the R rating in red.
Yeah.
The rating box was in red on the poster.
And like that movie is barely R-rated. It's not even that messed up.
Alan Ruck is in that.
Who?
Alan Ruck.
Alan Ruck.
Cameron from Ferris Bueller.
Of course.
So I'm looking through Ben's 17 straightforward facts. The ones that we didn't cover was Michael Cera auditioned to play Cole. I saw an interview with Michael Cera where he said that he hadn't read the script and didn't know the tone of the film. So when he did the audition, his impression of him doing the audition was going like, I see dead people. He told that on like Conan once. Instead of crying like Haley Joel Osment, he played the scene as upbeat. Marissa Tomei was almost cast as Cole's mother. Great actress.
She probably would have been okay.
Yeah.
She probably would have been slightly more to the, trashier side. Because I'm thinking of The Wrestler right now, honestly.
Yes.
I mean, maybe she would have been just
My cousin Vinny.
I love my cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
What else do we have here? Diane Wahlberg lost 43 pounds to play Vincent Gray. Yeah, I mean, great.
Jesus, 43 pounds.
Shyamalan regretted casting himself as Dr. Hill. He did as a nice little thing to acknowledge his parents who were both doctors. He thought his acting was so bad that he cut most of his scene. Why didn't he cut Praying with Anger?
Why didn't you cut the fucking whole performance in Signs? Go on.
I think he's pretty, like, natural on camera.
It's fine.
He's better in roles like this when he just has to deliver information.
Sure.
Like, he doesn't look scared to be on camera, which a
he's
lot of
fine.
actors...
I don't know why he's lying. He loved being in the movie.
Yeah,
he wished he played Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lying piece of shit.
Osmond's father told Bruce Willis to yell at his son to get him to cry.
Wow.
Oh.
I wouldn't want Bruce Willis to yell at me, even though apparently he yells at people a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the best fact. Number 14, Willis DJ'd on weekends.
Oh.
Cool.
He spun
in
some
Philly?
records at crew parties at the Philadelphia
We
Convention
didn't even
Center
mention this
some
is, of
weekends.
course, his third Philly movie in a row. Well,
He
no,
loves
Praying
Philly.
with Anger is an India movie, so his second Philly movie.
And the film was released on Shyamalan's 29th birthday. That is crazy.
That's absolutely
The
crazy.
day the
I'm
going
to be
came out, he was
30 in a
29.
few months.
I was
so.
about to say, I'm well past 29, and I haven't made my 6 cents.
My birthday is like 3 weeks from now, and I've been telling people, like, I was like, just bump up the age, because I always forget to adjust once my age changes. So start telling everyone you're the age you're gonna turn
right
now. So I was like telling everyone, like when I was like at parties or whatever, and they're like, how old are you? And I was like 28. And then I realized after like 2 weeks of doing that, I'm 26 right now. I'm about to turn
You're bumping
27.
twice. You're doing a double bump.
I bumped up to 27 and then set into that. And then when people asked me what age I was like, well, I'm 27, but I got to bump up because my birthday's about to happen.
Yeah, you got to just use your birthday. That's
and
what it's there for.
I did a double bump up. And the craziest part is I was at a function with my father and I introduced myself to someone as 28. She went, but this woman was like, I have a daughter. My daughter's older than you. And my dad was like, she's probably the same age as you. She thinks the daughter's older because you look young. And I was like, watch, right? I'm about to tell her my real age, and she's going to, like, freak out. And I was like, how old's your daughter? And she's like, 28. And I was like, yep, I'm about to turn 28. My dad's like, see, told you.
So you're all just, yeah.
My dad doesn't know what age I am.
If you ask my parents how old I am, they would not come up with the exact. They know what
My
year
mom
I was
would be,
born.
right. My mom would be like, you're born in 86. So,
Yeah.
like, that's what she would do.
Yeah.
My dad also doesn't know what age he is. He wants everyone to think he's older than he is, so he's constantly bumping it up.
Really?
Yeah,
So
when he
maybe
was like
is he just-
It's a
57,
Newman family disease.
when he was 57, he told everyone he was 60 because he was like, well, but in 2 calendar years, I'm going to be 60. So like this year, the end of this year, I'm 58, and then the year after that, it's anyway.
Great ending to the
Merchandise
podcast.
spotlight. Ben, merchandise spotlight.
Oh, right. Yeah. So, guys, please continue to email us with any feedback or thoughts, as well as suggestions for merchandise that you'd like blank check branding on.
We're gonna open up like a cafe press store or a Zazzle shop.
I need to see the logo before I.
I'm working
make
on
it.
it.
Yeah, are you going to make us a logo?
I got a
No,
logo.
I'm awful at
Yeah.
Photoshop. You don't want that.
No, I got one.
I think Katey should make us a logo.
I got one. I've worked on a treatment. I'll have it done by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah,
but
you always do have the logos ready right when the episodes come out.
Yep.
day
No,
of.
I've written all our information on a check.
Cool.
Like your
Like
bank account number.
A blank check.
No, I got
Yeah,
a blank
it's his
check. I got a blank check. It's my check. You can steal my routing.
Yeah, that's right. From the desk of Griffin Newman.
Yeah.
So we're accepting ideas. But,
Yeah,
I
tweet
just,
at us.
I've
Yeah.
just been coming up with some to kind
Blank
of
check
just
pod.
get the ball rolling. So
Yeah.
I thought a blindfold with like blank check on it, and that would be for
Yeah, because people love blindfold.
Yeah.
but it's for listening to the Nightcast, like you're in the dark.
Great.
Listening to the nightcast.
Oh, like one of those eye shades you wear on a plane.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe like a sleeping mask. Yeah.
I don't know.
Ben, you're so good at pretending to be immediately deflated, like so deflated.
I'll see you guys later.
Ben does so much work for this podcast.
Erotic fan fiction coloring book.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Sir, Benjamin.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We need to outsource some artists for that, though.
Yeah, Liam Neeson's estate will sue us.
And it would be erotic fan fiction about the three of us, right? It,
Liam
would be,
Neeson is still alive, by the way. His estate is not going to.
it wouldn't be fan fiction of the movies we cover. It would be Griff and Ben and David fucking in the studio.
No,
Yes.
thank you.
That's what it
I
is.
did not sign off my image rights. Was
it's
that
what
in
the
that piece of
people
paper
want.
I signed?
Yes.
I gotta say,
Oh, yeah.
when I was listening to the podcast, your faces on the Star Wars posters were kind of alarming enough that this seems terrifying.
Quite alarming.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, though, Katie?
Yeah.
As a listener of the show, have you ever shipped any combination of the three of us?
No, I am.
You don't ship us
I
at
am
all?
generally anti. Like even like the whole Fenpo thing from Star Wars kind of creeps me out. Like
I just think it's people just. It seems like it's a whole other thing.
it's a harmless thing. People like it, but it just is not.
I'm not a shipper
It's like
either.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like I get that other people like it, but it's not my thing.
I'm not a shipper either, but if you're shipping us, please email us, blankcheckpodcast@gmail.com.
Oh yeah.
We will take any erotic fan fiction about the three of us.
Will you read it aloud?
Yeah, I'll read it
Oh
aloud.
my God.
If someone writes erotic fan fiction,
Or you could write an iTunes review for us in erotic fan
Oh,
fiction.
yeah, please.
Oh, that's
Oh,
a good
that's a
idea.
great
yeah,
idea.
and
Good idea.
while you're there, why not rate us a perfect 5 stars? Because anyone who doesn't give us 5 stars is a ghost who doesn't know they're a ghost.
All right. You're trying too hard.
I'm trying too hard.
No, let's end there, though.
No other merchandise ideas?
And blank check pod.
Yeah,
on
I
Twitter.
was thinking holiday greeting cards, and it could be like that for Valentine's Day, something like, it seems like it's a nice thing, but then you open it, and it's like, you damn Sith Lord on the inside, something like that,
Yeah.
you know, like to kind of prank them. It's like a good twist.
It's a
See
good
what I was
twist.
trying to do
Twist.
there?
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
we need. I don't want to read these.
We
things.
are
Okay,
wrapping this
What if the
up.
card says happy birthday, and you open it up and you're like, happy birthday, and inside it goes, just kidding, happy Valentine's Day. It's a Valentine's Day card that looks like a birthday card because it's a twist, because it's...
I like that David just dramatically closed his laptop.
I did it for the second episode in 2
This
weeks.
is over.
or whatever.
It's Pod Night Shamacast. It's a twist.
Boom.
Thank you all for
And then I
listening.
did my crazy thing that I can do that no one else can do.
Oh, your
Your arm thing.
My arms.
Yeah, my friend Jessica
Um,
knew that.
Yeah, that's
Final
pretty-
step of the
double
merchandise spotlight. Remember, if you see a 6-inch Black Series action figure of Rey from Star Wars The Force Awakens, please email me. I will send you money. I check stores multiple times a week. They are not available anywhere.
What was the thing in that article? The article about the toy shelf? I forget. About the Star Wars toys? I can't remember. Carry on. Don't worry. Cut it
Oh,
out.
the pops have been decimated.
That's
So-
it. That's
okay.
it.
Oh
That's
my
it.
The Funko Pops
Oh
have been
my God.
decimated.
That's it. That's it.
Oh,
Yeah,
hang on.
that was something.
I don't fuck
If
with
this-
Funko Pops. So don't send me a Funko Pop.
I read that article like 3 times.
I know.
And
Incredible.
Funko Pops, because someone at some point tweeted that to the tune of Uptown Funk. I don't know how you tweet that. I don't know how you tweet
That
like a
sounds like
tune.
yeah.
But it got my head like Funko Pops been decimated.
This was an article about someone going to Toys R Us on
Is this
Force
going?
Friday.
It's Jermaine Lucero,
Yes,
who I
it's
know
Jermaine,
and is
yeah.
a lovely person.
He's a
but
lovely
this
guy.
article is hilarious.
It was a very
But
dramatic
sometimes
article.
I think he gets a little lost in his.
I think
sort
he
of, yeah,
would
yeah,
know
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
It was a very dramatic article about how poorly managed the Toys R Us was on Force Friday, and he was like 5th online by the time he got there. All the merchandise had been run out, and he used the casually. He was like, there were 6 action figures left on the shelf, only 1 vehicle left. The Funko Pops had been decimated, which is the most dramatic
I know.
way to explain what happened to a series of bobbleheads with dot eyes.
Those are those weird dot eye things.
Yeah,
Why
Yeah.
do people like? Those?
I don't know.
God.
And I
Do
love
you like
merchandise,
those?
and I don't
Okay.
get
I'm
it.
not a
People like
toy. I'm not. I don't do shipping. I don't do action figures.
Yeah.
It's not
I got
my-
Katie's a
0.
grown-up.
I have
Katie's a
too
grown-up.
many action figures. I'm a little boy. I got 0 pops. I want a fucking grown-up toy, like a 6-inch Black Series.
All right,
Ray.
you're creeping me out.
I just
All right.
want it really bad.
We probably run for like 8 hours at this point.
Yeah, it's
we've
been like
we've
many
kept.
hours.
I think
Katie's-
I've been fired at
Yeah,
this
yeah,
point.
yeah. So we
Katie,
gotta go.
Katie, anything you want to plug? Listen,
Oh,
to
yeah.
Fighting in the
Okay.
War
Oh,
Room.
I
plug.
got Fighting in the War Room.
So good.
We got Little Gold Men.
Hell's
I'm,
yes.
I'm on the podcast at the Film Experience. It's also talking about
Oh, I
Oscars.
love
Not
that.
a
Of
host, but I'm
course.
on it once in a while. It's a great
Uh-huh.
podcast. And VanityFair.com, where hopefully I still work after being here and recording this
Hey,
podcast.
They
for
could
ages.
never get rid. Come on,
It's
most
great
of-
publicity.
They're all at Sundance.
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
all
They
at
are.
the
They are
dance.
all at Sundance. Yeah.
We'll have you back on in some capacity for the Blank Check Awards.
Or when
we
we do
should
the
actually.
10-part Titanic series.
Yeah, well, we'll do.
I'm
10,
willing to
yeah,
do that
we'll
as a
10.
crossover episode. I mean,
Sure.
crossover 10-part series, or just take over your podcast.
Yeah,
We can
Whatever.
both take
Let's
it.
do it
Yeah,
all.
we'll
Let's
do it
just,
all.
I want to do is record podcasts.
Me too. This is the best thing. This is the best art form of all time. You know, we said movies are the best. Podcasts are a little
Podcasts
better.
are the best.
20th century movies, 21st century podcasts.
And now it's all about podcasts. And also rate, review, subscribe to all
Yeah,
our
yeah.
sister podcasts
Oh,
on the
oh,
USP Comedy
sister
Network. I
podcasts,
don't
of
care about
course.
us. We just
Fuck us.
we don't need more listeners. We like the listeners we have. But also tell your friends, please. We want more
Yeah,
listeners.
more listeners, please.
We need gotta
We
pay
need
our
those
overhead.
bucks. We need those bucks.
Gotta make those fucking bucks. next week we'll be talking about Unbreakable.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say the guest because it's like 99%,
no,
right?
It's a we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But we actually have
it's Sam Jackson. No.
We have
Yeah,
guests lined up for all but one episode.
Yeah,
this
we've
season
got
now.
our guests.
Other than the last film, The Visit, we have our guests for every other movie. I think it's a really good lineup of guests.
I think we got to get Knight first. The Visit. We just got to get him.
We got
to land the big kahuna.
Yeah. Thank you all for listening.
Mm-hmm. As always.
And as always,
you got it.
I peep, not alive.
yeah, let's go with that. Yeah, I did. Blindsided. I didn't
You didn't have it.
I didn't have